Hey, LS11 Universe, it's Zander. Ray's running late. I don't know where he is. I don't even know if he's seen my messages yet. No, he's not even seen my message saying that we're live. But hey, everyone, it's Zander. Ray will be here sooner or later, and welcome to the Season 5 retrospective Fallout stream. Here we are. It's been a wild ride, has Season 5. And it's officially done. We've made it to the end. We are on the other side. Season 5 has come to a close. And now Season 6 is 25 hours away because it airs 6 o'clock tomorrow night. The first episode of Raw premieres 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Yeah, so Zach says WrestleMania was amazing. CJ Smith says, yes, it was. I think that was the best opening for WrestleMania Night 2. And Pierre says both nights of Mania were fantastic. Yeah, thank you everyone for that. This is WrestleMania Season 5 is very quickly becoming the fastest growing video on the channel, with both nights 1 and 2 getting record high views for a premiere. The main event of WrestleMania Night 2, CM Punk and Dominic Mysterio, the most people we've ever had in a premiere during a premiere at one time. We cracked 50 people during that matchup, so much for that being the most boring possible WrestleMania, or the most uninteresting WrestleMania main event possible, huh? Yeah, so we got plenty of things to talk about tonight. We're going to talk through a little bit of everything. I know what the big burning question is. I know what the big best kept secret, or I suppose secret no more, that a lot of people want to talk about is. We're going to get to that. We're going to wait for Ray to be here for that, though. I'm just going to kind of keep poking over to Messenger to see where he is. I'm going to send him the link again real quick. And I don't know where he is, and it's concerning me a little bit. So, yeah, there's plenty of other stuff to talk about. Byron Cutler says, Will Ospreay should not win tonight. Will Ospreay must face adversity. What will happen with Nick Aldis, asks CJ Smith. So, I don't really watch real life AEW. I'm not even watching Forbidden Door. I know that takes place later tonight. That's why this stream is a little earlier than I would have liked for it to have been. I would have preferred to do this at like 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, just to give people a few more hours for the end of year awards. We're currently sitting at 16 people having sent in votes. So if you haven't seen it, it's in the pinned message. Go send in your votes for the end of year awards for season 5. It's right up here over in the chat. Go send that in. You can do it on mobile. You can do it on desktop. You can do it wherever. Only thing you can't do it on is TV, obviously. But yeah, so CJ Smith asks what will happen with Nick Aldis. He's still got a contract. He's still going to be a wrestler in LS11 Universe. He just doesn't have a GM in his back pocket anymore, and he doesn't have the 6 to bail his ass out of trouble anymore. So he's on his own now, as are the rest of the former members of the 6. Jade's on her own. Austin's on his own. Ricochet, if you look at the website, isn't even in the company anymore. And Solo is finally Solo, as I jokingly put it on WrestleMania Night 2 during the kickoff show there. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about with WrestleMania. But since Ray isn't here tonight yet, he's not here yet. Let me phrase it that way. He's not here yet. Let's start with Stand and Deliver first, because there's a lot of stuff we can talk about this season. We're going to talk about the whole season tonight. Yeah, Best Kept Secret's a pretty apt name there. And like I said, we'll get there when Ray is here, because that's a really big thing that's got a lot to do with him, especially. But well, we can just talk through the season. You know, we've had a hell of a season so far in LS11 Universe. I'm going to pop out the chat here for myself. That way I can put it over here on the other side of the stream. And I can look through the season. So let me pull up YouTube Studio here real quick for myself. And we can look back at the last year of the channel. Because, I mean, my God, it was... I said at the end of WrestleMania Night 2 that this was my this was my favorite season by a long shot. Far and away, this was my favorite season we have ever done. I had the most fun with this season. I got to do the most with this season. I had a lot more involvement with everything overall. Like, there was a lot more just really in-depth stuff that we did. It was a really fun season overall. I mean, the World Cup this season was freaking awesome. Really enjoyed that. So let's see. Season 5 officially began on, let's see here. It officially began on July 31st, 2023. So it's been 11 months. So we are now officially going to start having 52-week seasons instead of 48 because I'm tired. I'm tired, Grandpa. I'm tired of the season starting or ending a month earlier every year. Like if we did 48 weeks again, the season would end in May next year, and I don't want that. I want the season to end in the summer. It's easier for us, especially with Mania, to end it in the summer. And who knows, we might even make the season a little longer from here on out as well in the next few years to start pushing Mania back towards end of July again, because that was optimal for me. End of July was the perfect time for Mania last year. What will happen with Dominic Mysterio joined the Judgment Day but was by Murphy? I don't know what you're asking there. Will Dom get a rematch for the title? That'll depend on if Dom stays on SmackDown in the draft, and we'll see what happens there. Ray is running SmackDown now, so we'll see what happens. And then Zach says Blair Davenport might have the greatest cash in Universe Mode history now. And KO actually kept his word. Yeah, Kevin Owens kept his word. I don't know why everyone was so shocked by that. He's not been a bad guy in like 4 seasons. Last time KO was a bad guy was season 2. And we're in season 6 now. So it's been 4 years since he was last heel on the channel. Other than like maybe a small burst somewhere in like season 3. But he's been face for 99% of LS11 Universe at this point. He was facing season 1. His only run as a heel was really season 2. But yeah, so like we started the season strong, We started with the big draft night stuff. We started with TNA having Under Siege, where Jeff Jarrett won the belt from Joe Hendry. We had all the first retro stuff this year. That was really cool. We had Triple H and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 20. We had the short-lived Ruthless Aggression universe, which was only short-lived because it had a lack of interest in terms of views. And, like, I know some people were like, oh, well, I watched it. Well, yeah, you did. And there he is. There he is.
Hi, sorry.
No, you're good. We were just talking about universe stuff. But yeah, so Ray's here now. I was just running everyone through kind of just, this, I was saying this is my favorite season we've ever done and just kind of going through why. Just because it had the most stuff. We had a lot of retro stuff. I got to do the World Cup. It's where we started doing house shows, which I really had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, next year with house shows changing again.
Yeah, we'll get into that here.
Now they're going to change completely to Velocity and Heat. I'm excited to do that, I'm especially excited to do that considering some of the feuds I have for the main card, because I have some big ideas that obviously I'm not going to spoil here for SmackDown that Zander knows about. And we're going to get to the end of year awards, I'm sure. But when you're making the categories, he said, Ray, there's a certain feud I'm running next season. And you're like, Ray, that's probably going to win next year.
Okay.
Because it is insane.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Zach says, Double or Nothing was great. This is the first time I get to tell Ray this.
What's up?
So we've been getting a lot of questions regarding stuff with SmackDown, so I was waiting for you for that. CJ Smith asked, will Dom get a rematch for the World Heavyweight title?
So, that's interesting. If you watch... So, I don't know if this is a viewer who is like... I call them like a casual who might just watch some of the... who might watch some of the weekly episodes and maybe check out our pay-per-views, because we have a fair few of those. So, if you haven't been watching, Braun cost Dom the belt, technically. When he speared him, and Dom cost Braun beating Punk a few weeks ago. So that's all I want to say about that, and that's going to lead into the first pay-per-view Backlash. So come in this Friday. Of course, it'll be a massive episode on Friday. It'll be my premiere episode. There's going to be a lot of stuff on there. Oddly today, I was recording a match for it. And something happened, like an NPC who was a manager kept doing something that I did not want them to do.
I feel like I know what they were probably doing, because the new update just fucked AI for both tag matches and managers.
Yeah, they kept taking the turnbuckle off.
Oh, no, that's just been a problem since the game came out.
I know that, but I actually haven't had much of a problem with it up until now. Because most times it happened a long enough amount of time into the match. And, like, okay, not to spoil it, this is a different manager star situation than most managers I do, where the manager is or it's a chicken shit heel or a heel with a heel manager anyway. So them removing the turnbuckle works. Like,
let's see. Zach asks, is SmackDown and this week still going to be early access? No, everything premieres this week. So if it's a premiere, it's not early access. Early access returns next week.
Yeah.
With Raw.
Yeah.
Next week's Raw will be the first.
I'll try to do it with SmackDown. No promises, but I'll try my best.
Yeah, and if Ray can't do it with SmackDown, I'll start having TNA be early access, so everyone gets 3 episodes a week early access. Yeah. If possible, TNA is usually the last thing I record in the week. Another question we got was, will Solo be booked often? I mean, wait and see is all I can think to say about that.
Yeah. So actually, that's interesting because Solo Sikoa has actually been somewhat of a topic between you and I of in recent conversation, because obviously Zander has what he's doing right now with the Forsaken on NXT, and with Solo being tied up into the 6 storyline, people have been asking, okay, is he going to join the Forsaken storyline? Because Solo's been part of the 6 storyline. Now it's like, okay, the 6 is obviously done. It's done.
Yeah.
That, like,
finally.
It was great while it lasted. I'm happy to have been the main contributor or the giver of the skeleton, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's over. It's 2 years, almost exclusively in the main event.
Yeah.
It's over. Like,
it was fun though.
It was fun, and it was really good to like have like our horsemen essentially, where it was just like this group of great wrestlers who dominate everything.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't like, and it wasn't like before where everything was like what I loved about the 6, and just to gush on the 6 because it's over now. What I loved about the 6 wasn't that like it was like the Horsemen in the sense that they all had their own distinct style, but they all still fit together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Understandable.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, so I was going to talk about Stand and Deliver before you got here, just because we're kind of talking through the whole season in general, and just taking questions, but let's just kind of talk through the season finale weekend, because Stand and Deliver, first of all, it was the first NXT season finale not to have you in it, which was kind of crazy.
Oh yeah. And like it's a weird thing, like because like I wouldn't like Zander heads up creative for NXT, but not quite in the same sense that like he heads up creative for TNA.
Yeah.
In the sense that like I'll ask him if we're in conversation, hey, what do you have planned for TNA? And then he'll tell me, but I don't tell him don't do that. Like that's
right.
That's not like a conversation we have. So it might be, hey, what's the fuck do you mean? Hey, what's your plan for AEW? But we're not sitting there like looking at each other's notes going, that's a bad idea. Like,
unless it's just obnoxiously bad. Like, having a YouTube host character team up with an old man and beat one of the greatest tag teams in TNA history for the belts. I mean, that's never happened, obviously, but.
So, yeah. Guys, you gotta pick and choose your battles. And,
I think that sums up our friendship in one sentence. I think that just is the fucking that's the fucking summary of our friendship right there. Pick and choose your battles.
Yeah. And there was other ideas that on shows that, quite frankly, I'm more involved in that I had to veto. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to use all these tokens to keep him from blowing up his own tag division. That's completely up to him. So, and you know what? He did it to me a few years ago on NXT. So maybe this is karma getting him a little bit. I'm not going to tell him to not pull this pin. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, people thought it was great, though. So I'm
Yeah.
all right with it in the
All
long
right.
run.
No, but like we have that though. Like, okay, so
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
yeah.
All
But
right.
anyway,
But yeah, so I had Stand and Deliver yesterday morning, which I think I'm never. I always say I never want to compare Ray's era of NXT to mine. I never want to say, oh, I think this was better than Ray doing this. My mindset is always I put them on the same level, but they're very different things. Like
oh yeah,
Ray was running a third brand, I'm running developmental. I'm
yeah,
running
and
developmental because there's so many developmental wrestlers that I actually really like and Ray really likes that we kind of need that place to get them a little bit more established before we're ready to bring them to Raw and SmackDown.
yeah, and obviously like NXT is a place that like it's very special now because what it what it allows you to do is take NXT's primary audience is going to be hardcore wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's always going to be. So what it allows you to do is pre-inform them so then they can take it to the larger wrestling base who watches other shows. And that's what's special about NXT.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about right now. On NXT, or in WWE right now, they have just brought Carmelo Hayes up to the main roster. And there is going to be a lot of viewers who don't watch NXT who have no idea about Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. They don't know that rivalry. But enough people do that when Trick Williams comes out, there will be enough of a reaction to the point where the fans who aren't on board yet will get the memo that, oh shit, this is a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
And you see that with multiple rivals now. I mean, it's happened with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. It's happened with, it happened with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. You know. And now it looks like later on this year will finally be happening with Gunther and Ilya Dragunov. So
yeah, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Zach says, so your NXT is a mix of veterans and new people. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I've gone with. Because, like, I have some veterans there. Like, I had Corbin there for a little while. I had Dijak there before we brought him up. And, you know, that worked out really well for me.
I'm sorry, buddy.
It's okay. Hard Justice will be dished out somewhere one day. Fingers crossed that it's TNA. I just want Dijak.
Didn't they have a pay-per-view called Hard Justice at one point?
I think so. I know it's a Steven Seagal movie. Which is just what Dijak is.
If they had a pay-per-view called Hard Justice and you get him in TNA, you know you have to do the pay-per-view Hard Justice.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, I'm really happy with NXT. I mean, I look at the card and I truly think, I don't know if you've seen Stand and Deliver at all. I don't know if you saw
I've seen parts of it, yeah.
I think it holds its ground up there with TakeOver New York and TakeOver 10.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of it.
Yeah,
opened it strong with Javon and Axiom, like match of the year contender, made it onto our end of season awards because people liked it that much.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not the best at tag matches, but I'm really happy with how MK Ultra against the Toxic Attraction went.
Yeah.
Because I had, when you have a dominant team like MK Ultra, you gotta get the belts off of them somehow. And so Toxic Attraction using an exposed turnbuckle and making Masha bleed was the best way to do that.
Yeah.
And then you had Ethan Page just make a dominant in-ring debut against Wes Lee. Wes Lee got some underdog hope spots, but ultimately, had to put over the new guy. Ethan Page is here to stay. He's going to be a big deal in LS11 NXT for Season 6, and I'm really excited to have him. So, and Wes Lee could eat the loss, honestly. I think he was fine taking the loss.
Yeah.
And then had the tag title match, the Smoke Chaser against Odyssey, Jones, and Family. That one felt like a U. That one felt like a Ray tag match. That one did. Two smaller guys against two bigger guys. The smaller guys getting a bunch of hope spots in before being crushed.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know, I was thinking about that when we were talking about, the Match of the Year nominees.
Yeah.
Because there are, I was like, what's my best tag match of the year? And I wanted to, come up with one that was an actual contender. We actually ended up using the one you did from WrestleDream, which was a great match. But there was so many of those, and you have these on regular TV all the time where it's, a great match, but you don't remember it when you're when you're going through the nominations. Like,
Yeah.
But you don't remember the random number one contenders main event that went 20 minutes 4 months ago?
Right.
Like. So yeah, that there. But I was overall, that was something that as Zach said, this is my first chance to talk to the people since Double or Nothing happened.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Yeah, and obviously massive show, and then even more massive was this past week's Dynamite, which if you saw the ending, Swerve Strickland's challenging for the belt this Wednesday.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
it's gonna be exciting. I mean, that's what 2 years after Swerve first showed up to confront Kenny.
Yeah,
which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and then just to quickly run through the rest of Stand and Deliver real quick. The match that I felt weirdest about having on the card was Ariana Grace and Naomi for the title. And that's because it did happen on accident. Everyone was like, oh, I thought this was going to be Mako Satomura. Well, it was supposed to be. She wasn't supposed to fall out of the ring during the Battle Royal. She wasn't supposed to get eliminated. Ariana was supposed to win. Or wasn't supposed to win. But sometimes in this industry, someone accidentally wins a Battle Royal, and you have to say, fuck it, we ball, and you have to change what is supposed to be a legend versus a modern, really good star in what is going to be an incredible match on your developmental equivalent of WrestleMania. And you have to take that really respected legend out of there and put in Santino Marella's fucking comedy daughter.
At first, I thought you were personally attacking me for the Double or Nothing Battle Royal situation.
No. For you, it worked. For you, it worked. For me,
I was like, and then I told you, because guys, Dalton Castle was supposed to win. I won't tell you what was going to happen, but Dalton Castle was supposed to win. And I texted Zander, hey, Dalton Castle isn't winning. And you were like, why? And I was like, watch what happened and then ask yourself, would you do that again?
Yeah, and then I saw it and it was totally worth it.
Yeah. Well, no, it also was you can't really edit around it either. It's
yeah.
It was immediate.
Battle Royals are hard to do, man.
Yeah.
They're hard to get right. But yeah, and so, yeah, no, I wasn't super proud of the fact that Ariana Grace ended up being the challenger, but it ultimately ended up working because a lot of people were like, there's no way this happens, right? And it felt like I was watching the chat go, there's no way this happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the whole match, slowly working themselves to, oh god, he might put the belt on Santino's daughter. And ultimately I didn't, obviously. But that was just kind of one of those, you have to improvise and make something seem good. So I just used it to put her over as a decent competitor. I had her kick out of one rear view, but then the second one almost immediately took her out. And then there was Julian Sol Ruca, which I haven't talked about it yet, but Sol Ruca was never supposed to make it that far in the tournament. It was supposed to be Nikita Lyons to get a face versus heel thing. But just from finally starting to watch NXT in my own time, I've become such a fan of Sol Ruca that I was like, she deserves this big spot way more than Nikita Lyons does. Because I do not care for Nikita Lyons. And I didn't go into the tournament, but I was like, sometimes you have to push someone you don't like for them to be a good heel.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, Julia was just the right choice every day of the week. Put that new title on an established wrestler, have them build it up for a while, and then whoever beats them is going to get an even bigger moment out of it than if they just won the tournament to begin with.
Yeah.
Whether that be Sol Ruca, whether that be someone else. I actually haven't decided who beats Julia yet, but I'll have a bit of an announcement regarding Julia's first defense, which could also be her last defense. I could be lying to all of you later. I'll talk about that. And then the main event. The main event is the really interesting one. Trick Williams and Jimmy Uso, because this is kind of the match that has changed the most in all of it, because at one point, Jimmy was never supposed to be the NXT champion.
No.
This was supposed to... Andrade was never supposed to be the NXT champion. This was going to originally be Trick versus Tyler Bate 6-7 months ago when I started NXT.
Yeah.
It was going to be... Tyler Bate was going to hold it all this way through, and it was going to be passing of the torch from top face to top face, and this was going to be the Trick Williams era. Well, then they started to do that in real life, too, with Trick and Ilya, and I was like, I don't want to just do it, but put Tyler Bate in Ilya's place. And then I put the belt on Andrade because he came back to WWE. You suggested we put him in NXT because big fish, small pond. It would be a great start for Andrade there. And I think you were absolutely right. Putting the belt on him made a lot of sense. And I think Tyler Bate having the shortest NXT title reign is a very Tyler Bate thing to have happen.
Yeah.
And then people just got really into Jimmy Uso.
Yeah.
Like, Jimmy Uso's run in NXT wasn't supposed to be that special. He was supposed to be beating Axiom for the North American title yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That was the original plan. Was just Jimmy was going to go heel and win the North American title. But then something magical happened. He got over with everyone. Jacob Fatu signed with WWE. And suddenly it was there. The Roman and Jay of 2020. Or really 2021, because that's when they were aligned by that point. All the pieces were falling in place. This faction that I made 2 years ago that didn't get over in season 4 is now actually signed to WWE. And now I can run the Forsaken back, but do it right this time. And Ray was even like, yeah, just have Jimmy win the NXT title. I was like, shit, you might be right.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, ultimately, and this is something that I've heard about wrestling. This is so true, and I don't think a lot of people get this. In fact, I'm going to say most people who work in wrestling don't get this. Wrestling is about giving fans what they want.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And, like, the best thing to do is give them something they want, but they don't know they want it yet. That's magical. But if there comes a time when what they want is obvious, and it's obvious to everyone, and, like, you feel like it'd be too obvious of a move, that's kind of more on your own psyche and you wanting to be like, oh, I'm Mr. Smart Booker Man who thought of the storyline that you didn't think of. And that's something that I think you and I have had to learn to stop. Like, you and I spent so much of our early seasons trying to outthink the fans.
Yeah, we did.
Like, trying to come up with something they did not see coming because we thought that would be better. And then we kind of come to find, and like, I think you and I did it with the anticipation that if we did it enough, then they would stop expecting stuff and they would just watch the show.
That's far from what's happened, obviously.
And like, but here's the thing. And I was like, that's foolish because wrestling has been on television for, 60 years regularly? And that's never happened. So, but, and also, like, here's the thing. There is now, so I'm not going to go too far into it because I don't want to, like, reveal too much of the Zander story, but now there's something I'm doing that will massively play into what's going on.
Yeah.
It's going on SmackDown. So it's interesting because we kind of have like these. There are multiple stories at play at the exact same time. They're going to loop together and link together later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Xander was saying it. This is like the next. Like, this is the next. Not true. This, not in terms of like like what will actually take up all the channel, but in terms of, I think, the story that we're telling. This is like our next like big story, I think.
Yeah, this is like our next on the same level as the 6 kind of story.
Yeah.
Like, we've got this shit planned out for a while.
Yeah.
But just to kind of follow up on my Trick thing here for a minute. Yeah, and then originally Stand and Deliver was going to be Trick and Andrade. But like I said, Jimmy just got so over as a challenger that the natural move was make him champion, give the people what they want. Sure, you've got the lightning in the bottle there, but what do you do then? Do you just have a be smiley, happy-go-lucky Jimmy as champion? Because they're not going to get behind that. People like the, in his own mind, thinks he's Roman Reigns level Jimmy Uso. So you got to capture that. Yeah. And having Jacob with him really helped that. And I honestly think the story beat that has made Jimmy's title win and run the most interesting is Jay helped him win, and Jay doesn't realize what he helped create in that moment.
Well, here's the thing. I sent you this design out, and I don't. And like it was a first design. I'm going to keep doing it later. But I'm designing something for Jimmy that I think will be a really cool design.
Yeah.
So I don't. But it's a change in philosophies for Jimmy Uso.
Yeah.
Jimmy Uso has forever wore the words "We the Ones."
Yes.
And that's now gone singular. I'm the one.
Yep.
Like, not we.
Yep. I'm the one, and which I'm really excited about. But yeah, just to kind of talk real quick for just another second here. One last thing about Stand and Deliver, because I also see a question about it too. I see a couple questions about it. The finish to Stand and Deliver fell so perfectly into my lap, and like that's kind of the story of my life.
So I'll go back and watch it later. But
yeah. But like the finish to that show fell perfectly into my lap through everything because. You've got Jimmy and Jacob, and like obviously everyone's like, oh well, Jacob's just gonna help Jimmy win. So you get Jacob banned from ringside, right? And it's like I'm like, well, what am I gonna do here? And originally the plan was we were gonna bring in Zilla in that moment because like we're both convinced he's gonna be in, at the very least, in NXT any day now, probably.
Yeah.
Like this LAW stuff I'm doing with him, that's just so that people get used to him being a character in LS11 and to rack up some wins in his run up to being in NXT, just to establish that he exists.
Yeah.
And so. Then, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa fall into my lap. And it's like, you've got Gorillas of Destiny, one of the greatest tag teams alive right now, who are considered part of the Anawai Fatu family tree, the Sons of Haku. It all makes sense to just bring them into NXT and put them in there with the Forsaken immediately, which is...
not only that, but like, it's the right people to do it. To Jimmy, where it's like, yes, these three, they are part of their family. They are part of the family. They are the three arguably most crazy, violent members of the family.
Yeah.
So whereas like Roman, he was violent, but he was composed. Jacob doesn't have that.
Right.
Jacob wants to kill things. Jacob was, and then you have Jay, and Jay, he was gun-ho, but he wasn't, as crazy as Tonga is. So it's, and like, don't get me wrong. I enjoy what they're doing right now with Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm enjoying what they're doing on TV with it. I think, unfortunately, and I'm going to get some flack for this, I know. I'm just sitting here, I'm like, I think Jimmy could be in Solo's role right now and doing fine.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here, I'm like, I like Solo Sikoa. I think he has a great look, and I think he's a great wrestler. I don't think he's as good as Jimmy, and I don't think he's as good as Jacob at all. Like, I think, and I think that, like, I hope that the storyline that they're telling doesn't eventually undercut Solo in favor of Jacob.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I could really see them doing, considering just how over Jacob is in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
And someone brought this up, and I was like, this is so true. Think about how much money AEW signed Kazuchika Okada for, and how much they've actually got out of him compared to how much WWE signed for Jacob Fatu, and how much they're getting out of him.
Right.
Like...
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then you never know who else is going to show up in this storyline, which is just, it's really exciting. And I'll admit, I think I'm allowed to admit this. Solo was at one point going to be part of this Forsaken story. He was going to show up at Stand and Deliver if the Gorillas didn't. But it's just worked out where, for now, this isn't to say Solo and the Forsaken are never going to interact. Ray and I discussed this recently. There's more money in waiting.
There's more money in waiting, and also...
there's more to do before it's time.
Well, also, there's more to do, and Solo, his best place in what we're telling right now is at another... He's best used in another role.
Yeah.
There's enough crazy, violent people influencing Jimmy. So...
yeah. Oh, yeah. He's got plenty right now.
And when the Wise Man is introduced, because the Wise Man was my big contribution to this.
Yes. And the Wise Man has been mentioned. We've just never said who it is.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And like, I think when if eventually the wise man is revealed, everyone will be like, of course. They won't think of it like that's honestly, I think, like, and the second I said it, you were like, that's perfect. Like, you were just like,
And the introduction of this person,
yeah,
I've planned it out. I know when it's happening. I know how it's happening. You're not going to realize it's the wise man until he tells you to acknowledge Jimmy Uso.
yeah. And I know we're probably going to get comments of like, well, isn't it Paul Heyman? No, Paul Heyman's commissioner in AEW right now.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Let's look over the chat here for a minute. Jackson Lane says Ariana Grace pulled a 2012 Caitlyn. Sure did. Pierre says season 6 is going to be fun. JT says who was supposed to be beating Trick. I never got that far, was the big thing. Never got that far.
Yeah.
With his title reign. Pierre says, I did not see Indy winning the women's briefcase, but it was a pleasant surprise. JT asks, was Jimmy Uso born a king? That is what I am told to believe, is that he was born a king. Yeah, you know? That's what his theme song says. Zach says, Rude is in for chaos with the Forsaken, and that his guess for the wise man is Haku. Time will tell. So let's talk about some other stuff with the season, because we got WrestleMania we can dive into whenever. And again, I'm going to remind everyone, go to the pinned message, get in your votes for all the season 6, or all the season 5 end of year awards. We've got 18 votes right now. I'm looking through. I'm not looking at any actual results right now. I'm not like hovering over to see what the results are. But it looks, I'm seeing if there's any ties that need to be broken. It looks like there's 1 or 2 ties right now. I really don't want to have to do 2 people winning an award again. I don't like it when that happens, really. Personally, I don't really like it when that happens. Yeah, AEW Return and Debut of the Year is a tie right now. OMG Moment of the Year is a 3-way tie right now.
Oh, God.
And Other Pay-Per-View of the Year is a tie right now. AKA non-brand specific pay-per-view.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, God, let's talk about some other stuff this season. We haven't really talked about the start of the season too much, because we weren't really... I was moving so many times in the first half of the season.
Yeah, you were moving, and like I was... Up until that I moved on to the PC, Rate EW, I was doing it every week, but it was kind of in this weird place where I was doing it on this console. I couldn't really ever streamline the productions. Episodes took hours on end.
Yeah.
And didn't come out well at all because I was, to give you guys an idea, I was editing on very primitive equipment and going through and like trying to Foley my audio over, and it just really was a process.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
So to like give you an idea, like I'd spend twice the time on a video that Zander might, and it would look half as good. And it's yeah. And so when I finally got that Ray W really streamlined at that point, I could book better. But like to talk about the early part of like this whole thing was it was this like early in the season. It was an interesting time because there was things that when I took over from AEW, I'll talk about early in the season. I'm going immediately to early AEW. You can cut me off anytime, but like when you handed me AEW, you were kind of like, okay, like what's your like general idea? Like what do you want to do? Or like you didn't like get my approval, but you want to know. And I was like, well, you know, like I know we're making Adam Cole champion, and in terms of who beats him, I'm thinking Jay White. And you were like, that's honestly who I was going to pick too. So
yeah.
Granted, I don't think you quite envisioned the run Jay ultimately had with the belt.
Yeah, no, I don't think I ever could have envisioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to everyone that's got questions, just go ahead and ask them. You don't have to preface it with, can I ask a question? All questions are allowed. We'll get to them after, like, between each thought that we have.
Open discussion. Open format. And so it was really interesting, like, but here's the thing, the Jay White reign just sort of happened. I just kind of kept booking it, and I was like, not him. Not him.
Yeah.
Not him. Like, and I, like, you know, it was interesting because, honestly, I feel AEW, I think I didn't do a good year of the show. And I think the show had a really good quality this year. I think I was hampered by constant releases and people walking out and people
punching other people in the face.
Yeah, and so to give you an idea, so now we can say his name. Not that.
I'm not doing. Look, hands are on the keyboard. I'm not doing it.
Put the other hand up right goddamn now.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
No, it was just great timing to put the other hand up right goddamn say his name and appears.
You set yourself up for it's the best part.
Now I will say the person who's the owner of this name's name.
Hands are off the keyboard. Hands are off the keyboard.
So, to give you an idea, Punk left. And that threw everything. And so to give you an idea, Punk and White was going to be all in London.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can talk about that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because I didn't want people to get this idea that Punk was going to win the belt in WWE. So I haven't revealed up to this point that Punk and White was going to be all in London's original main event. But that was the plan.
Yeah.
And then Punk left. And I was like, shit. And I was like, well, I guess I got to double down on Chris Jericho. And then he had a controversy. And I was like, shit. And then...
Yeah. That's not even the only time that something like that happened this season. That's the worst part.
Yeah. And then, because it happened so quickly after, I had to... I felt the need, and you asked me why I did this. It was for this exact reason. I was like, well, I now have this Edge Jay White match that I could build up. I also really want to quickly wash the taste out of everyone's mouth that is Jericho versus Jay White. So I'm going to put it on 4 days later and hope people forgive me.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Chris Jericho then attacked Edge, and then I just had Edge kill Jericho.
Yeah.
And that was it. Edge killed Jericho. Maybe he'll return someday. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe he died on the way back to his home planet.
Yep. Maybe he, just drank a bottle of Grey Goose.
Yeah, right, let's see. Let's take a look at the chat real quick. RS says this season is
him out of the RNC Center over there in wherever the fuck he lives now. Oh.
Okay, let's see. Looking over the chat. RS says this season is top 3 for sure, but for men's for WWE, I'm tied between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre for Star of the Year. Vote with your heart. That's what I will say. JT's first question is for Ray. Oh, you son of a bitch.
What?
Ray, what made you decide to let Zander sign Jon Moxley and let him return to WWE and LS11 Universe? This has been an annoying-ass trend in live streams that JT has started. He has started the propaganda that Jon Moxley is re-signed to WWE Universe mode.
I gave Zander I believe it was 8 to 12 week loan on Jon Moxley.
Yes, it was 8 weeks.
In exchange, he gave me a loan on John Cena.
Yes.
That is what happened.
Yes, that is correct. Let's see. Zach asks, what was the hardest pay-per-view to record? What was the hardest pay-per-view to record time-wise for each of you? I don't remember how long everything took me, but I'll let you go first. I got to think on that because I recorded.
Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Did I tell you what happened the night before that show?
No, I don't think you did.
So, this is interesting. I finish finally Friday. I have work Friday too.
Yeah.
I actually finished on Saturday. I actually finally finished everything I needed to on Saturday. So I also had to work Saturday, and I had to be somewhere Sunday morning. So that leaves me editing the show together Saturday night after I get off work.
Yeah.
So I get home around 9, ended it for about 3 hours. And I'm near the end. I get to like the semi-main event. And then for some reason, all my inputs on it stopped working. I could not edit the clip any longer. It wasn't like copying and pasting. Something happened to it. This happens sometimes. So I hit file, save as project, saved everything as I had it, closed the program, rebooted the program, relaunched the project. It fucked it till Kingdom Come. Like,
oh wow, yeah, fun.
all the audio was misplaced and gone. All of it was just all over the fucking place. And I tried like moving some stuff around. I tried finding the history and seeing if I could pull up an older file of it. I tried everything.
Yeah.
Did not work. I eventually started around 12:45 with a fresh edit of it.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I ended up around 2 o'clock finally finishing.
Yeah.
And thankfully it didn't take me as long because I had mentally everywhere like, okay, click here. So like it wasn't as bad the first time. That's the first time. But so I had to edit Double or Nothing basically start to finish twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, for me, it was either WrestleMania if you count both nights as one. I mean, that was
Also, honorable mention to Beach Break, just for the Memphis Mayhem match.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I remember being really long, but yeah, no. For me, it's either WrestleMania if you count both nights as one thing because I on and off worked on that for a month.
I remember I remember when Forbidden Door Night 2 happened, and Anarchy in the Arena was the main event. You texted me while you were editing it, like you were like, Ray, I had no idea. Like,
yeah, that was going to be the next thing I said. Is if not that, yeah, because Anarchy in the Arena, I was recording until almost midnight.
Yeah,
and then editing it was even harder because I had to make sure that everything worked.
Yeah,
and flowed. All right, next question is from RS. Zander, what was the story behind having Drew be the guy to beat Cody and end his title reign? So that's that was mainly a Ray push on that one. Originally, it was Kevin Owens. I was pushing for Kevin Owens because like we teased it for so long.
For what?
Like, so the question was, what was the story behind having Drew be the guy to beat Cody and end the 475-day reign?
Okay.
Yeah, and I was saying how I pushed for Kevin Owens early on, and Drew was your call.
Drew was my call ultimately. I mean, you were the one. So, I mean, the Sixes lineup was the first lineup we had was pretty much all me. That was like, and you can like the formation of the group, that was me. And you can take very, very distinct parts of that. As I said, I gave the skeleton to it. And I was like, here's the framework. But Zander would take over booking the Six from time to time. And something he did do was suggest Cody and Drew. Well, what you didn't say the main event, but what you said to me was, this will be really fun when Drew eventually leaves, because then he can challenge. And I said, you're right. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, hold on, like that adds another element to it, because we've had and I was like, I feel like that's something different for the story. Right? Yeah. Because like before we've had these long reigns and it was like this person eventually rose up to challenge them. Joe Hendry and Samoa Joe is a perfect example. And I was like, but what if the person who was going to beat you for it was standing next to you the entire time? Like, yeah. Like literally the entire time. And that's kind of like what I thought of it. And also I was like, wrestling's like Shakespeare. And what's more Shakespearean than a brother fighting a brother? Like, yeah, that's true. And so I was like, screw it. And then we were kind of going back and forth on the Cody and Drew thing with when it should happen, because there was some speculation about happening at last year's Mania. Yeah, and that just, to me, it felt too soon. And I think you agreed. Yeah, well, also, I saw the opportunity of, like, if he barely won, that would make him snap. Like, if it was so obvious that he was cheating. So it's obvious he was cheating. And then, like,
Yeah.
on the start of last season, like, it was, like, literally, like, we never filmed it. But, like, I imagined that, like, after he barely won that, it was, like, the Homelander moment in The Boys where he's standing in the hallway and he just starts, like, going, like, just starts, like, laughing / crying.
Yeah.
Because it's like, damn it, I'm not better than him. Fuck! Like,
Yeah. And there were other names that we talked about as well. There was a
Sami
point where,
Zayn.
like, I had to essentially, metaphorically, I was like, grab you and, like, smack you in the face a few times. Because you were like, well, Xander, Drew might be leaving. I was like, yes, in April. SummerSlam airs in December. Because you were like, what if we had it be Sami Zayn? What if Cody loses to a guy that's more like his dad than Cody is? And I'm like, we did not have Drew lose at Mania for this.
well, yeah, and also, but, like, also you have to, like, I am someone who really wants to give Sami Zayn his story, really wants to give Sami Zayn his mark, and Sami Zayn has not been champion yet. And
yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that sentiment.
And I thought I saw the opportunity for it to happen, but then we did the original plan, and, like, to be fair, like, there was, like, you did not have to, like, it wasn't like me going like, this is I want this, like, it was me.
No, it was you were like throwing the idea around. I was like, right, stop before you talk yourself into it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like I was, like, fully committed and Xander was having to talk me off the ledge. Like, it wasn't like.
No, it was like Ray was like, well, what if? And I'm like, no, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Ray was like, but think about it. I was like, no, because if I think about it, I'm gonna get into it. And
But,
genuinely, when we had Drew lose at WrestleMania, it was like, well, no one else can be the one that beats Cody at this point.
Yeah.
And there were other ideas. We talked about Sammy. If Drew had left, because we thought he was leaving like January this year if he was going to leave, which ultimately he's re-signed, which is fantastic for us. If he had left in like January, we would have we had a few ideas. Sammy was one. Ricochet was one for tonight. Like, Cody's reign almost went all the way until today.
Yeah.
There is a timeline where Cody's reign was still going till earlier today, and Ricochet was the one to beat him.
Yeah. Well, also, and I almost did extend it. That was the thing. It wasn't Sammy pitting, it was Cody retaining, because a part of me really wanted Cody to pass Joe's record and hold it longer than anybody.
Yeah. And the only issue that would have come out of that, though, is that, like, Cody would have had to been champion for another 4 months, because Samoa Joe was still champion when Cody lost.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Joe lost 2 weeks after Cody. So Cody at that point would have had to hold it if he'd won at SummerSlam, would have had to hold it for another 40 days. And so our next opportunity to take it off of him would have been Mania at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Bad Blood would have passed, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately, I think we made the right call there. Zach asks, how bad was it in the stadium stampede? It really wasn't that bad. It was just, I just kept pausing the video in the middle of recording. Let's see. JT says, Ray steals Xander's soul for taking your show's talent.
I assume that's something to do with my hair color.
Maybe. And then he also asks, did I ever consider letting Ray keep CM Punk the way that you let me have Keith Lee? So interestingly enough, when there were rumors Punk might be going to TNA, Ray pitched the idea of Punk being brought back in through a back door by Paul Heyman to AEW.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was mostly on board for that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if Punk had gone to TNA.
But when he went to WWE, we were like, all right, there's something here.
Yeah, there's something here. And also, by the time he went to WWE, like, we already knew I was taking over SmackDown.
Yeah, we knew you were taking over SmackDown.
And so, like, Xander said immediately, he was like, all right. and you guys don't have to guess this because champions aren't up for drafting.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, yeah.
But go ahead. The champions aren't up for drafting.
I was getting to like that Punk is clearly going to be on SmackDown.
Yeah,
like,
Punk's clearly on SmackDown. Got it.
Yeah. And you were like, you didn't even hold back. You were like, yeah, Punk. Like the second one was like Punk signing. You're like, yeah, and he's going to go to SmackDown when Ray starts it again because that just makes sense because Ray's better at booking CM Punk.
And when Punk left AEW, I was firmly on team Phil Brooks can kiss my ass.
And
then Matt and Nick Jackson happened. Or excuse me, then Matthew and Nicholas Jackson happened. And I was like, oh, no, I see why Punk punched them in the face and threw a chair at one of them.
Well, also, it's like, it's not that he should have done that. I'm not defending him doing that.
No. However, if I was in his position.
But presented in the proper context of, okay, it was clearly a heated situation. And this is something I'll say till the cows come home about it. And this is why I was kind of on Punk's side from the beginning, and you and I were getting arguments about it.
Yeah, we got legit arguments about it.
Because I was saying, I think you kind of see my perspective now. I'm like, it doesn't matter. They are the EVPs of this fucking company. It is they get paid better than anyone else, have more power than anyone else in that locker room. It is, and the price they pay for doing that is being level-headed and having to be the most rational person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a VP, you cannot go kicking people's doors in. If you are a VP, you cannot go stumbling into people's dressing rooms. Because that's just not your position anymore.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I feel like, and I'm not calling it too hard on the Bucks, but like I feel like the issue with the Bucks was they were there's struggling for me to say this. Okay. The reason that they were given the titles of EVPs is because they need them.
Mm-hmm.
To have the weight in the locker room that they do. They need that title of EVP. Because Punk, Jericho, and Mox have all had comparable power to them without that title. Because they have enough of a respect and enough of a weight within the business that they've built themselves to the point where they don't need that.
Yeah.
So now with them being EVPs and them doing this, it makes them look childish. If like it's like you got this EVP job clearly now just so you can act like I'm a big deal wrestler too. Like I'm on the and honestly, like what fuels it? And like it's. I was watching this thing earlier. I sent you the clip because it was just so funny to me. Of Dave Meltzer just trying to like drop it in the casual conversation when they were talking about Trick Williams.
Yeah,
and they were like, Trick isn't that good. Trick's got a long way to go. Yeah, Trick looked good versus Ilya though. Yeah, but Ilya looks good against everybody. Ilya can make anybody look good. Ilya Dragunov, he's like Ric Flair or the Young Bucks. Anyone they wrestle, they just look amazing because they that's the thing. Any tag team they wrestle, they look like the best in the world when they're in the ring with the Young Bucks. I'm like, I mean, there is a team like that. It isn't the Bucks, it's FTR. FTR makes everyone they work with look good. The Bucks are obsessed with making themselves look good.
Yeah. Let's see.
I talk about all the time. I'm like, if there was like, I'm like, oh, you guys don't know what. Like, I'm like, it's such a sad and disappointing thing to me that the Briscoes aren't available to me.
Yeah.
Like with my love of tag team wrestling, I never got to book the Briscoes, and I'm like, and to me, up until Jay's death, They were the best tag team in the world for the past 10 years. I think there was times where fans' perception was different, but I think if you look at consistency within their work, dedication to their work, like overall quality of their matches, I don't think the Bucks or FTR ever passed them.
Yeah.
Truly, I don't think they ever did in terms of like staying consistent to their work, consistent to their characters. Like, you can't write the Briscoes. You can't make them up. Like, these are like that was the thing about the Briscoes. That's why I love and miss about them. They were two guys. I'm like, these are two real country fuckers who they dragged out here and are now out here kicking everybody's ass. And like, and growing up and like Xander and I, like Xander grew up kind of rural. I grew up very rural. So
Yeah.
And so I knew people like the Briscoes and like,
Oh,
yeah. So yeah. But to get back to a happier topic,
yeah, all that being said, yeah, there was a talk about CM Punk staying on AEW if he'd gone to TNA. Just to
Yeah,
bring that full circle there.
It's evolved back. And you know what? I'm sure the Briscoes would have loved working with CM Punk if they had gotten the opportunity.
Fuck yeah, they would have.
Yeah.
Let's see. Brantley says, when Drew won, that was the right call to dethrone Cody, but having Kevin Owens beat Cody wouldn't have been a bad idea either. JT asks, why didn't you let Dolph Ziggler win the TNA World title? Well, because by the time Nemeth came in, I'd already put the belt on Hendry, and so that didn't really click there. And I was the Ali plan was like the plan the day Ali got released. It was like, all right, well, that's who's beating Joe Hendry.
Yeah. Well, also, it's not that Nemeth is a bad heel. He's a good heel. I think he's better as a face. I think his style, how he sells, how he does everything in the ring, leans towards a babyface.
Yeah. And a big thing there with that as well is like, I was like, well, I don't really want to put the world title on him. And then Cardona's right there with the Ring of Honor television title. Cardona's aligned with Moose, who had just won the digital media title. What if Nemeth gaslit Moose into a defense and won the belt almost instantly, and that sets up the collision? Because like Cardona and Nemeth was always supposed to happen at Slammiversary. That was always the plan.
Yeah.
Even before we were going to end Ring of Honor. And so that just made it easier to get there, because now Nemeth has the thing Cardona wants most, the digital media title he believes should still be his. But yeah, all right, moving on here. Zach asks, at what point were you like, we have to have Punk as champion? So I don't think we ever had like we have to make him champion moment.
I said to myself when I started AEW, if I keep him, I think I have to make him champion.
Yeah.
That was kind of my own conclusion. Was that like I didn't think Punk had much. Now I will say it was a different path than this, and I'm going. I will go and like now we're talking about it. I'm sure we'll get to it later. The mini changes to the Double or Nothing main event, because boy, there was a lot of people in that spot.
Oh yeah.
And I'll get to that in a second. But what was the question again?
At what point were we like, we have to make CM Punk a champion?
When he came back to WWE, was when I was like, okay, I think we gotta make him the champion now.
Yeah, that was when I was like, yeah, I feel like we can do it now. As well. And there were originally, I think we've talked about this maybe a little bit. Originally, the main event of WrestleMania was going to be Punk and Gunther.
Yeah.
For the WWE title. And Gunther was going to, for the first time ever, have to cheat to retain. Punk was going to go to SmackDown. And I feel like you're going to be alright with me saying this. That Dom was originally going to be fighting Randy Orton at WrestleMania Night 1.
Yeah.
Losing there. And then you would have done Punk versus Orton for the title on SmackDown, right?
At some point, yeah.
Let's see.
But no,
Man,
that's not. Because I was honestly looking at it and I was like, okay, I get the idea of like Randy and then Gunther cheats and then all this stuff like this. So I was like, but Punk's had this whole big story about him leaving, going to AEW, having all this crazy stuff happen, and now it's Mania 40. He should win the belt. And I was like, I think with shows like this 10-year anniversary Manias, I think the babyface should win the belt. And I was like, and I was like, kind of looking at it from the perspective of where I'm going to be booking after, and how I pick up after this. And I was saying, I think Punk getting this moment against this chicken shit heel that nobody likes, I think that fits, and I think that's the better moment. And I ultimately think we made the right decision because I think Johnny just beating Gunther is a different kind of breaking point for Gunther. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So, also, I'll talk about this a little bit, because I'd forgotten about this until just now. Before you were going to take over SmackDown, WrestleMania was going to have, and before Punk came back, too, WrestleMania was going to be very different. Gargano and Gunther, I'd completely forgotten this, was the plan 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Gargano and Gunther were going to main event night 1. Ciampa and Dom were going to main event night 2. I made that big deal all season about how Ciampa had gone 3rd, then 2nd in a Rumble, because he was going to win.
Yeah.
He was going to beat Dom, and Goldie and Ciampa were going to reunite, and WrestleMania 40 was going to end with DIY both as world champions. And then Punk came back, and I changed it to Orton for Dom, because for some reason that just sounded better, because Orton came back from injury and was super over, and I was like, well, I think if we're ever going to put a belt on Orton, it's now. And then Punk came back, and you raised the same point. And I remember distinctly, we sat in your living room about 6 weeks ago talking about this. And you pushed for Punk and Dom instead of Orton and Dom. And I sat there and I pouted about it. I'll straight up admit, I was a grown man sitting there like, and it's the right choice. It was the right choice every day of the week. It was like 1 in the morning. In my defense, it was 1 in the morning.
Yeah, you were super into Orton too, and like I was sitting there like I'm like, okay, I know Zander, the reason you are, and the reason I think you were kind of patty about it is because you love Randy Orton. That's how I love Randy Orton, and I think you and I were both like really looking forward to a world champion Randy Orton.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, but in the retro series, that like we've already acknowledged Randy's been world champion.
Yeah,
maybe not in the mainline series yet, but he's had the title before. So we can do retro series with him.
Yeah.
We can build that out. You know, I'm very much looking forward to showing our version of the Age of Orton.
Oh yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, but with Punk, I was like, also Orton is someone who I think now is changing a little bit, and now he's more over. But for majority of his career, I felt Randy Orton was a better heel.
Yeah.
And like lately in the last couple of years where he's kind of become the more fun-loving dad Randy. It's become
pothead dad Randy.
Yeah. Weighing at 275 pounds. Oh, that's being generous. I'm at 290.
I'm a big boy.
Big boy been eating lately.
Love Randy. But yeah, no, I think you were absolutely right in the long run with that. Let's see. Here's a good question from JT. We'll kind of rapid fire from here for a minute before we get on to actually talking about WrestleMania. Because there's one question that Zach has asked 3 or 4 times that we're going to get to when we get to that part of WrestleMania and talking about it. So,
I can only imagine.
You know what it is.
I can only imagine.
Let's see. So, JT asks, Ray, why didn't you take over Ring of Honor?
Huh?
JT asks why you didn't take over Ring of Honor. Because I've revealed that before we gave you SmackDown, you were going to take over Ring of Honor. And I won't answer this for you, but I kind of know the answer, but I'll let you go ahead.
Because Ring of Honor I felt. I didn't want to run two of these kind of like occasional promotions. Like, I want to keep New Japan going. I think people will be into New Japan keeping going. And I was kind of sitting here like, all right, we honestly, I hate saying it like this. Ring of Honor, I think, had more value with us ending it and then taking like the legitimate stars we did have and then spreading them out. And but you know, there was going to be a weekly Ring of Honor TV show at one point that was going to run. I had a few weeks rid of that off the television, but man, I never got really far with it. But yeah, it was just something that like when Zander wanted to end Ring of Honor, I'd already gotten SmackDown again, or I'd already gotten SmackDown, which was so to give you guys an idea, like I always wanted SmackDown.
Yeah,
I'll be very. That's the show I want to do.
Yeah,
and that's like so for a while I was, and she's not here right now to advocate for this, or else I feel like she would. But it was like this whole discussion where it's like, I think I should get SmackDown. You're like, I really want the WWE stuff to stay with me. Like, I think it should stay with me. And you were kind of having this weird moment with it because I really wanted to take it, and then you gave me Ring of Honor, and I was like, okay, I want to make this like a weekly thing. I think I was kind of taking this as like my pacifier, I guess.
Yeah, like, and I'll jump in here in a minute as well.
And then I guess you were describing the situation to your dear wife, Alex, who said, Zander, did I just hear you say your best friend offered to take like one of the most stressful parts of your week and take it over for you, and you got mad at him for it?
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so kind of to play my own defense here for a minute. There was a point early on in season 5 where I was like, yeah, I'm going to let Ray take SmackDown. And I think for about 4 weeks, we were on track for that. And then I backed up. And I'll straight up admit, I backed up, and it's my own fault. So what happened there is I don't know if it's a genetic thing, I don't know if it's a taught thing. I'm not a psychological person. I have a very hard time letting go of control. And a big part of that is I didn't have a lot of control over a lot of things growing up. And yeah. Ray can advocate for that. He saw how it was for me growing up in certain situations.
Yeah, and we both have that.
Yeah, we both had that. I have a hard time letting go of control. And so letting go of I was going to say second biggest. Letting go of one of the two biggest things I do every week is incredibly tough for me. And I'll admit, there have been nights where I've lied there in bed like, oh God, Ray's about to take over SmackDown. How am I going to let this happen? And of course, I've never acted on him and like, Ray, I don't want you to take it again. Because I'm like, no, we are 5 days away from him taking it. I'm not fucking backing out.
Yeah.
And also, as a man who is now about to be 24 in a couple of weeks here, and a man who has barely spent an hour with his wife in the last 3 weeks because of WrestleMania month, that 4 hours a week I spend on SmackDown is going to bleed out into giving me probably 8 or 9 extra hours a week.
Yeah. And also it's like this whole thing of like, let's be honest, of like, it was a question of will Ray's skill making these videos, because he's been helping me write it the whole time, but he's only been making them himself for a certain amount of time. Will his skills catch up to the point where the transition from your SmackDown to my SmackDown can happen without a big dip in the quality of the show?
I know that was part of it too.
In the overall production of the show. Because that did happen with AEW, and I'll admit that, because Zander went from his equipment and I went to my primitive equipment. But now I have a setup where I can pretty reasonably continue the quality.
Yeah.
And continue the quality pumping out, both in terms of the quality of the video, the look of the footage. I think I've gotten a lot better on commentary, and it's, So it's kind of risen to the point where in production I could better take that over. And also it's now getting to the point where I'm getting better at getting the episodes done faster. So, and that was another thing where I was also telling, and like, so, and I knew this would be hard for Zander. That's why we did it in the stages that we did it. Like we announced it 6 months ago.
Yeah, and once we announced it, it was like, all right, Zander, you can't change your mind.
So people have it. So Zander got 6 months to process it.
Yep, and it worked.
And,
it really worked.
And then I was like, and then what happened from here is I can have the 6 months. I need to get my stuff together, footage wise, and everything like that. The best thing is SmackDown is going to have a major step taken out of it that AEW has. I don't have to lay in the music for SmackDown.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and once I teach you how to use the sound editor app, that becomes even easier. Only reason I haven't taught you yet is because every time there's an update, my music gets reset.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to have to deal with that.
So, that'll be another big process taken out of it. So I'm looking forward to it. And, there's going to be a big change, and I look forward to how you guys respond to it. I'm kind of like at this weird place with it where I'm both going back and forth on how I think you guys will feel about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I'm feeling right now as well. Like, I'm super excited for what happens Friday. There is not, other than you, there is not a more nervous person in the world for when that premiere countdown starts on Friday. Because I'm like, what is going to happen? This is the first SmackDown my hands have not been in ever.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first SmackDown without my voice involved in it in any way, shape, or form. Let alone anything else from me being involved. Which is scary for me. And it's not because I don't think Ray is going to do an amazing job. It's because I'm scared of what's going to be different because I hate change.
Yeah.
No matter how excited I am about it.
And also, like, you and I, like, we've been writing this show for a long time, and a big part of why it works so well, I think, is because you and I have a very different perception of what we like in wrestling. And, we like similar things a lot of times, but then we have, like, when it comes to, like, our favorite stuff, like, you get much more into... I can do theatrical stuff, but I feel like your favorite stuff is often the theatrical stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The Bray Wyatts of the world, so to speak. Or now the Uncle Howdy and all these...
the broken man.
Yeah, the character. And I love that too, and but I also love that old school wrestling where it was, angry promos, personal problems, violent matches. And not violent in terms of like bunch of blood, bunch of glass. I mean like the two guys in the ring actually looked like they wanted to hurt each other.
Yeah.
No,
I 100% agree. All right,
and like if you want, like, that's why like because Zander and I still need to like actually make a podcast about this. You and I have been talking about it for years, where we actually run down each list for our like favorite wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I feel like on yours would be a bunch of characters, while mine would be like Terry Funk.
I mean, Macho Man Randy Savage, you count him as a character wrestler, then yeah, like he's on there.
Not really though, because he did the Southern style just as a character. He had like the long personal matches and would fight and get bloody, and he was technically one of the first Outlaws.
Like, spoilers here for that list, and Ray, you might be shocked to hear this as well. Macho Man's chasing Triple H.
So what has made you so fond of Macho Man in the last couple?
I've started watching a little bit more retro stuff.
Yeah,
I've gotten to see more of him through like old WWF stuff.
Yeah, and like
and a little bit of WCW.
And then there are some wrestlers who I can't bring myself to say I love them personally, but I can't like say I don't love them as a wrestler. Like, I will never be able to say I'm like okay, he might be a piece of shit now, but in the 80s, I don't think there was a better wrestler alive than Ric Flair.
I agree.
Like I don't. I think when you ultimately look at like the greatest of all time, you would still probably have to say Ric Flair. Like, and you know, I'm not gonna justify anything he's done. You know, that's not for me to say, but you know,
Yeah.
everyone's just going through their own stuff, and you know,
All right. Let's
I hope whatever state he was in that made him do what he did. Hope he's out of it now. Hope he doesn't do that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. All right. Let's see. So jumping back into some questions here. This is a good question from JT because you and I talked about this. We'll keep it kind of quick on this one, just to keep up here. JT says, Ray, when are we gonna get retro AEW episodes? So Ray and I talked about this earlier this week. I have shown interest.
You texted me and you were like, Ray, please. Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's right. I was. Like, I've talked to Ray about this so many times. I want to cover stuff from those first 18 months that we missed.
Yeah. And I do too. And there was like certain things I wanted to do and then some things I don't want to do because, you know, it's a weird time to cover. And then I kind of, you know, and it's also an area where I understand Zander's very excited for it, but also when it's like, you know, given AEW is my baby at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to like be like, okay, what do I want to do with it? And like, how do I want these shows to come off? And I presented Zander my idea for the first Double or Nothing pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. So stay tuned because
stay tuned for that.
We might get to that this season.
I'm hoping we do. If I can help with it, I will, but I know this is probably going to be something you're going to want to do because AEW is your thing now.
Yeah.
It's the same way that if we ever do like old school NXT takeovers and like old school ECW and stuff, that's kind of Ray's area, whereas, you know, old school WWF is my area.
Yeah.
Like,
and granted, like I have talked about and that's something else I hope to do this season is old school WCW, NWA pay-per-views. And I hope to be able to bring you guys some of that.
yeah, and I'm looking forward to the idea of that as well.
Yeah. Like just talk about I had this idea for a so to like get more into like the retro stuff, I had this idea for a retro. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Starrcade '87 was a massive culmination point in wrestling, essentially. And it could have been, I think, a moment where everything fell into place, and it kind of didn't. And this is covering what if it did.
Yeah.
And I'll say the duel of two cowboys. And that's all I'll say regarding that Starrcade.
Gotcha. All right, so let's see here. Zach. No, wait. No, that was Zach.
And one of them is not Stan Hansen. So.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I was going to say Zach, but no. Zach asking about the Murphy and Matthews thing. We'll get to that. We'll get to that with the WrestleMania recap, which we're getting to.
And you're just going like, yeah, whatever. Ray's stupid 80s territory wrestling.
No, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be fun.
No, okay. You're like, Ray, like, Ray, you are the reason Crockett's on Peacock. You're the one person watching that. Like,
yeah. Okay, let's see. Brantley asks, were there any plans of having Roman become the World or WWE champion during this season? No, there were not.
No.
Cody and Roman happened because it needed to. Cody was never going to lose to Roman. And, like, someone got so pissed about that in the comments. I don't remember who it was. They were like, man, ruined my whole morning by Roman losing. I was like, I mean, that's on you, bud, for getting that invested in Universe, bud, and letting it ruin your day. That's how I felt about it. Okay.
Also, why?
Like, there's no interest in either of us, like, especially because for most of this season, Roman was already champion in the real world and had been, and I was so over that reign, and I still am. Like, I'm sure a lot of people will get with rose-tinted glasses and like, oh man, one of the greatest reigns of all time, cinema, Oscar-worthy reign from Roman. No, the reign sucked for most of it.
Yeah.
He just had the belt and didn't show up for 2 years of it.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here like, okay, how is this reign? Like, how are people sitting here like, oh, this is the greatest reign in 30 years? I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, if you only show up every 4 months, if you do the math, he basically had a full, like, if he was a full-time wrestler, that would have been a year and a half. That would have been a year and a half. Like, and I'm not saying like underplay his health condition he probably is dealing with.
Yeah,
I'm not saying any of that. Like,
yeah, and that's none of that is a shot at Roman as a person when I say that.
no, Roman's a great person, and Roman, honestly, up until recently in the ring, he was a great talent. And that I think ultimately, even though he had this great 3-year run, and I'm glad he got it, I think that will ultimately be something I will remember Roman for, because I don't think we're going to see much more of Roman. I think we're going to see a few more matches, and then he's going to retire.
Yeah,
and that's going to be it, and that's going to be it for him. And that's kind of going to mark Roman for me for a long time. Is I'm like, he had a great run, and if they had realized how they needed to book him sooner, he could have had a much better one.
Yeah, I agree.
But unfortunately, they took 5 years. They took half of his prime to get up off their ass and figure it out.
Yep.
So.
All right, let's see. Okay. JT asks, Ray, is it true that you originally didn't have much plans for Roppongi Vice, but fan reactions made you change your mind and push them?
Who asked that?
JT.
Okay, so that's true. I thought Pierre asked that. I'm like, Pierre, you know the answer to that.
Zach asks me if it was as hard for me to give up AEW as it is for SmackDown. No, because I was done doing AEW. I was like,
you were
man.
so tired. You were so done. Like,
because I'd stopped watching it at that point too. JT says, Ray, more romance storylines on SmackDown, please. My God.
What? Well, okay, guys. Shockingly, I'm not the greatest purveyor of romance. I know. I know what you're thinking. Ray, how could it be true? This is such a shocking revelation to us. And while I sit there and let you take that all in, I'll also say, as 1 second. There we go. Anyway. Sorry, I was trying to adjust the chair. Okay.
You're good.
Anyway. Like, here's the thing. We have found a way around the female promos and being able to do promos with women's voices. I'm not quite ready to talk to myself like that.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Like, I'm not quite ready to be like, I love you. I love you. Like, just like me matching up the audios.
No, I totally get that.
Like, that'd be so weird to have, like, a massive romantic monologue with yourself. I have no issues telling myself I hate myself all the time. That's perfectly okay.
Every day in the mirror, brother. Excuse me.
And I thought about that. I was like, someone's response was like, well, you say you hate yourself to you hate. I hate you to your technical self all the time. How is it? And the words are self-worth. Anyway.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, no, you're right. And romance angles are weird to do, especially when, yeah. But Pierre makes a good point there. Already got peak love story from Buddy and Rhea. Exactly. Why mess with perfection?
How many ones have there been though? You can count maybe on one hand the amount of good wrestling romance storylines. I mean, you got Marco and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
You got people are gonna hate me. but I love Vicky and Edge. Legitimately.
You would.
I think it's hilarious. Like, you just have... just like... Have you seen the promos from this time period?
Yes, I have.
Where Edge is like, I can't live without your love. And everyone's just booing it.
Okay.
It's brilliant. Like,
But yeah, anyway. Bray the Boss 360 YT says Paul Heyman will always be loyal to Roman. In real life, sure. We'll see what happens in Universe if Heyman ever comes back to WWE Universe. Pierre says All In 2018 would be very interesting. Yeah, I'm interested in doing that one day. And I think, Ray, you also were, I think?
I was interested in it, but that's a weird one. That's a weird one to do.
It is. Okay, Zach says, so we can now see how you would have booked Brody Lee with Retro AEW. Yeah, one day. That's someone that we want to do Retro AEW for. Like, that's part of what we discussed.
Do it.
Well, yeah, when you do it. You know what I mean. Okay. Pierre says, okay, Ray, what are you excited to do with SmackDown?
I'm excited to bring a more... Again, what I've done a lot of times is a more realistic product. Not to insult Zander. That's not
what you're trying to say here, man.
Brag. No, but like I don't think any one of us are saying that like you know, some of the stuff you've done with Bray Wyatt is realistic. So yeah. So, but I'm looking forward to that. I look forward to But then again, I do also look forward to making you all go, Ray, what the actual fuck did I just watch? Like,
I'm very excited for that.
Ray, why are these people feuding over this? And I have come up with the best reason for two people to feud since Booker T versus Edge and the feud over shampoo. Like,
Let me.
no, it was Kurt Angle versus Edge in the feud over shampoo. But anyway,
Oh my goodness.
no, it's Booker T. No, it was.
I think it was Booker T.
It was Booker T. Anyway.
Okay, but let's start talking through WrestleMania. But first,
Okay.
let's make a little bit of an announcement for Season 6 here. Because you mentioned no champions or changing brands. Let's show this official graphic I made today of the champions heading into each show for Season 6. And you might notice something. One last time, we swear, Scout's honor, one last time, we're not going to do it for at least a couple years. The Intercontinental and US champion are swapping brands in the draft. One last time.
And then a time after that.
And so the reason that Nathan Frazier and the Final Testament are heading to Raw while Jey Uso is bringing the US title to SmackDown is just quite simply, and I think, Ray, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ray's not really as interested in keeping up with my Final Testament stuff as I am.
Well, also, I don't want to take that away from him.
And that's a big part of it as well, is like, I'm not done with Nathan Frazier.
Yeah,
whereas,
I think it's not that I don't think I could book it. I think I could, but I'm just saying, here's the thing. If I did, what was that about?
You said, here's the thing. And so I put up a picture of the thing. That's what I was so laser focused over here on for the last few minutes.
So kept saying, here's the thing?
Yes.
Well, you see, Zander, here's the thing. God damn it. Now we have this. I was first dealing with say his name. Oh!
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
But still, continue.
What were we talking about?
Nathan Frazier's storyline.
Okay, here's the situation. I swear to God, if I see a picture of the situation from the Jersey Shore.
I wasn't even gonna. Continue, please. I'm gonna die.
Okay, the situation was, however I booked Nathan Frazier, Zander would have been super critical. I would get feedback on it every week.
Yeah, probably.
So I was like, I'm just gonna spare myself and take Jey Uso and say, you know what? I'm trying to just mimic WCW right now. I have the world title and US title.
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah.
Okay. Whew. I am so glad we're doing this stream because I needed that laugh. Okay, let's see. Zach says it was Booker T and Edge in the shampoo feud. Brandon says, what I want to know is, and then all caps, how the hell is Buddy Murphy allowed back into WWE? I thought he was signed to AEW. 1, we're getting there. 2, bro, it ain't that deep. It's a video game. Pierre says, brilliant. That is going to catch on. Josh stops by to say, I don't really have time to stay, but I wanted to jump in and say WrestleMania was great. Amazing job on the show. Thank you, Josh. Oh, man. And then Pierre says, just to reiterate, Damian Priest were fighting because Priest didn't like that Finn has more than one friend. Yes. It all boils down to that.
Well,
the feud all boils down to, I can have more than one friend, Damian.
Well, also, you have to remember, I don't think you ever properly acknowledged this, but to me, it was a massive part of Damian turning on him. Jay paid him.
Yeah.
Jay paid Finn Balor to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to me, that would read, if I was Damian Priest, that would read as, oh, so your loyalty is bought. So it can be bought, so to speak.
Yeah. And Zach says that Raw having the WWE and IC titles like Raw in 2007. Yeah, I'll take that. And the World Tag Team titles, too.
Wait, does that mean I'm doing SmackDown 2007? MVP and Matt Hardy, get over here!
I mean, Matt Hardy could be in WWE soon, so you're not entirely wrong.
Have you watched that feud, Zander?
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Tell me you've seen the pizza eating contest.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's talk WrestleMania finally, shall we?
When it comes to putting away the food.
Almost 2 hours into this show about WrestleMania. Let's talk about WrestleMania.
We had a lot of stuff to catch up on, guys.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we had to talk about the whole damn season.
We're having fun.
This is like my favorite season finale stream we've ever done. This has been incredibly fun.
So, we only have the obligation to be off by 8, so we don't get smashed by my Forbidden Door coming on.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so let's just jump in.
By that. Who watches that?
All right, so let's jump in. WrestleMania Night 1 kickoff. It had 2 matches on it. It had the Women's Battle Royal, which was won by Mia Yim. I'm going to be real with you all. I went into that matchup like, whoever wins it, man. And Michin ended up winning it. And I'll confirm here and now, Michin is going to be taking a trip to NXT for the next few months at least. And so she will be getting her Women's Battle Royal matchup against Julia for the Women's North American title on Tuesday night, which is pretty exciting.
Ooh.
And then the other match that made it onto the kickoff show, because Ray had no desire to sit through it, Dijak versus The Miz.
I was willing to do it. No, I thought you were talking about Omos, and I was not willing to sit through
Dijak versus Miz with Sylvester Stallone as the special guest referee. There was no point behind that match other than Stallone was the host of Mania, and I wanted him on the show in some way.
I was saying just have him be like Gargano's trainer, like that.
Yeah, I just couldn't figure out a good way to make that work.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we move into the main thing, WrestleMania Night 1. And I'll have more to talk about with Dijak later. We'll get there when we get there. So we opened the show with Cody and Nick Aldis, and I mean, that just kind of was the obvious endpoint here for Cody. And I talked about this a little bit on Friday night. A year ago, before Nick Aldis ended up in WWE, I had pushed for this to be Triple H.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think Aldis was the right choice. And when I knew you weren't going to go for Triple H, I think I pushed for Roman.
You did a little bit, but like
Not
my
much.
whole thing was, no, it needs to be someone new.
Yeah.
It needs to be a new villain who takes Cody down. Like, and full transparency, since now we know what's happening, it was going to be MJF.
Yeah,
it was going to be MJF doing this. It was going to be MJF doing all of it. Like MJF was going to be the one to beat Cody yesterday, but MJF didn't sign with WWE, so it was Aldis. And
yeah, and now the 6 is done.
At one point, there was discussions about being Theory, which Theory has shown to be. Like, I hate saying this about Austin Theory. Now we'll get back to the main card in like 1 minute. Austin Theory is someone great look, great talent, and he always delivers, but he never succeeds or he never exceeds.
Someone pointed it out like this the other day. Austin Theory is stuck in 2002 John Cena mode, and no one is letting him get out of it.
Well, like, no, that's the thing though. He's not taking like an opportunity to like advance his character.
I think they're finally starting to.
He's the exact same person he was 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, you're right. And they're kind of finally starting to show this with the DIY stuff on SmackDown. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep cutting you off there. Go ahead. Yeah,
and like here's the thing with the like, and I feel like, and like here's the thing about it. Waller and him are kind of in the same position. I'm not going into all of that, where they're both like the good-looking jock, trash-talking heel.
They're frat boys, yeah.
Yeah, and if they had been that 6 years ago, before MJF arrived in mainstream wrestling, they would have stood out a lot more.
Yeah.
But I think MJF showed up and exceeded at that role so well, so incredibly well.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And now it's like all these people are just like, okay, you're like the good-looking jock, trash-talking heel, but you're not MJF. And so now it's like, it's kind of become like the 80s with Ric Flair, where it's like, yeah, but you're not him. Like, you're not, sorry, like, you can be almost him. Like, hi, Barry Windham. Hi, Terry Taylor. Like, that's kind of how I view them, where they're really good.
Yeah.
But there's someone who is working a similar gimmick, who does it on a whole nother level, who no one is going. I think MJF is still going to WWE someday.
Oh, probably one day, yeah.
Because conveniently, he got that tattoo in a place where a wrestling boot covers it. So,
and it can easily be recut. It's so easy to redo a tattoo.
Yeah, and I'm like, and also I could easily see the heel promo where he just takes the shoe off and reveals he's replaced it with a WWE logo.
Yeah.
But now I'm sitting here, I'm like, now when that happens, how exciting is that going to be when MJF finally does show up in WWE?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be like, oh my God. Like.
But yeah, we had Cody beat Aldis. It was the obvious choice. I threw that little stipulation on there of if Cody loses, he can't challenge for a world title again for the remainder of his contract. I put the caveat of contract on there because then there was some doubt there of like, well, Zander and Ray could just say his contract was only for 2 years and just be like, well, we had Cody as champion for a year and a half. We're taking a break.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was obviously the right choice. This one was very me-heavy. People's Championship, LA Knight and The Rock.
Yeah.
So I think it was your idea to do this match, and I took it and ran with it.
Yeah, you took it and ran with it because, well, also, like, when we booked it, we knew The Rock was coming back for another match.
Yeah.
But, like, what's interesting is what changed in us building it.
Mm-hmm.
Because in us building it, The Rock introduced the final boss.
Yeah, and that was a huge help to doing it all.
But when he did that, I was like, okay, now it's because we originally booked him for Knight to win. Like,
yeah, we did. It was just one-on-one. Knight was going to win.
But now it's like, no, The Rock's, there's more to do with this version of The Rock.
Yeah, there's a lot more mileage with delusional Hollywood movie muscle man calling himself the people's champion while everyone tells him to go away.
Yeah. Well, also, like I was telling you, like with the Hall of Fame attire, that like it was I was like, I think he should always wear what he had on at the Hall of Fame
The
because he
only reason
looks
he
like
hasn't, like the only reason I haven't been able to do that is just because of 2K just royally breaking everything in the most recent updates.
Mm.
I don't know if you've encountered having a lot of your creative wrestlers turn bald, but I've spent a lot of my day fixing that. Or having logos replacing logos. For example, Wesley Blake's face texture got deleted and replaced with Satnam Singh's 1 in a billion logo.
that has happened to me a few times.
Yeah, so I've been dealing with that all day. But yeah,
So that happened to me with the Adam Cole creative wrestler I had, where all the logos on his jacket were replaced with the logos for the plates on the IWGP Intercontinental Championship for some reason.
yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It's getting really annoying though.
Yeah.
2K, like, you claim you're doing fixes to things, you're breaking everything. But anyway, yeah, there was a lot more mileage in keeping the belt with
it
Rob.
feels like a SpongeBob skit. Like, don't worry, I'll fix it. Dang it! Don't worry, I've got it.
Yeah,
dang it! Like,
it really does. Okay, moving on. World Tag Team titles. I don't feel like there's much to talk about with this one with Wyatt 6 and Imperium. Like, Wyatt 6, we knew they were coming. We knew Rowan was involved. We knew Howdy was involved. And Braun was involved when I briefly ran it for about 2 months earlier in the season with Braun, Alexa, and Howdy. And so that was kind of a thing of like, this is only the beginning. And there's a reason they're called Wyatt and then the number 6 and not Wyatt S-I-C-K-S. There's a reason they're not called that yet. And you guys will see it soon. And like a lot of people were trying to make jokes like, Wyatt 6, but there's only 3 of them. Yeah, that you know of. The 6 has only had 5 members for most of the season.
Yeah. Well, also, you have to remember, and this is something I've always told people, 6. What is the significance of the number 6?
Yeah.
It is the number of the devil. Historically speaking, not actually, because let's be, but getting away from that.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt, with his last storyline in our series, had a lot of ties with that kind of thing. He had the 9 circles of hell, him going through his own Dante's Inferno. So why would they not have that at the end of their name? And also, I've also said this in the story of the Divine Comedy, which is what was the 9 circles of hell was based on. There's also 6 levels of heaven.
Yep.
So you know nothing.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it just made more sense to put the belts on them, and you'll see where that's going starting tomorrow. Money in the Bank ladder match. This one actually we went back and forth on a few times, just because we kept having new ideas. So Kevin Owens ultimately won it. And I've talked earlier in length about how Kevin Owens was originally the one to beat Gunther, and fan reaction to the Royal Rumble changed that. So originally it was Sami Zayn that we were going to put the briefcase on this year. And we we're not going to go too in-depth on that because, you know, we don't want to spoil like what Sammy's story for the season is, because as far as I'm aware, our story for Sammy this season is still very similar, just without the briefcase involved. But yeah, so Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are the only 2 people we ever discussed winning the briefcase this season. Like, I know a lot of people were like, oh, well, maybe it'll be Drew. And it's like, well, no, that was actually never the thought. And I hate to say it, Drew was a very last-minute thought for Mania this year. And I feel bad about it because he main evented last year.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of like...
Well, Zander joined the club. Adam Cole won the main event last year. And he got destroyed by Brody King last week.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So, Cruiserweight title, Ciampa and Paul. Not much to talk about with that one. Kind of just want to get the belt off of Logan and on to Ciampa. Which Ciampa is going to be on SmackDown, but he'll be allowed to float to Raw. He could end up being drafted to Raw tomorrow, for all you know. But either way, the Cruiserweight title is primarily going to be a SmackDown title this season, while the Speed title is going to primarily be a Raw title this season.
Watching the dog show.
Let's see. And then Carmelo and Randy. This was kind of your way of getting me into doing Dom and Punk instead of Randy and Punk.
Yeah.
Or Randy and Dom.
Yeah.
And I really liked it, especially because it became, well, we can kind of tell the same story we did last year. But this time, Randy loses to the new guy, and now it feels like Mello could challenge for the world title this week, and no one would bat an eye and go, "Really, Mello?" Now they're like, "Oh, yeah, he could win it."
Yeah.
And I know I kind of seem like I'm rapid firing this. This is not too much to say about a lot of it, and and so then we went into the women's title, Alba and Jade. I don't think this was the plan until about 5 months ago. I don't think we really knew where Jade's story was going until a few months ago. Or it was longer than 5 months ago. It was the beginning of the season. I came to you at the beginning of the season and I was like, here's my thought for Alba leaving the 6. And I ran you through it. I was like, she leaves the 6 by telling Cody, I don't want your help. And giving it, and that costing her the match to Asuka. Cody brings in Jade. Jade destroys Alba, wins the belt. Alba scratches and claws to win the Rumble, challenges Jade. We think she's got her redemption, but then a sin from before the 6 comes out. The woman she betrayed before she even ever joined the 6, Blair Davenport, cashes in.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very well orchestrated story for Alba all season with that.
Yeah.
And so there's really not too much to add there, but I am happy that we finally got Blair with the championship because I really like Blair Davenport. And then, let's see. Reigns and Cross. Unlike the 19 minutes that match went, we're going to keep this brief. My bad. So
that was the whole thing.
That was the whole thing with us this past weekend.
Well, I literally was like 19 minutes.
It should have been like 5. I agree.
Well, also, like, I was like, there was literally, I forget, like, the spawn match. There was a spot in the match literally like, halfway through. Where I was like, I literally looked at you like, that's the perfect place to end that. I don't know why we're still. Then you're halfway through. Why didn't you just go back and film the pin?
Because I wanted the Superman punch spear to end it. That's the entire reason. And it took way too long to get Roman to 3 finishers. Yeah, I know. There's a lot more I could have done. That matchup was mainly just like, all right, Roman's not on the card and Cross isn't on the card. Seth's feuding with Nathan. Fucking makes sense to me.
You'd want to do it for a while, so I was like,
that's true.
I'm like, well, okay, I'll humor him. We can do it this year.
What's the worst that could happen? He does a 19-minute match.
God damn it.
And then the main event, Gargano and Gunther. I talked about this at length earlier this week as well. That matchup, you all rioted for that matchup to happen, and I'm glad you did, because I think Gargano and Gunther was a way more compelling main event for night 1 than Owens and Gunther could have ever been.
Yeah.
And that's also the first time Gunther is tapped since getting called up 3 years ago.
Well, also, like, here's the thing. Like,
I'm not gonna this time.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. I keep saying it.
I'm not gonna do it anymore. I just
like
need to
that whole bit with like the I should have never gone ziplining episode of South Park where he keeps saying long story short.
I do it all the time.
Okay, but with Gunther and Johnny, it kind of like it oddly did mirror Rocky, where it was like, Johnny gets this shot out of nowhere. It's like, okay, this isn't going to go. And then he does better than a lot of people suspect. And then, like, Gunther, being like Apollo Creed, he's like, no. Like just the thought that anyone, like, could come away thinking Johnny could beat him is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Like, and then it got to the Rumble, and we had the big match there where Johnny came even closer. But Gunther retained again. Now Gunther's at a place where he's in a reluctant piece because he's beat him twice, but he ultimately knows he somehow got lucky on both those times. And if the third time happens, who knows what's going to happen then? And
yeah, and there actually is more to talk about with that match than I thought about as well, now that you've said all of that. Because I did pace it like a Rocky fight. Like, just... Yeah. And at the end, I purposely... You'll notice towards the end, Gunther stopped covering him towards the end.
Oh, yeah.
He was trying to win it by knockout by the end.
Yeah.
But Johnny was refusing to pass out or knock out. But originally, Johnny was never supposed to fight for the belt at Survivor Series it's all just unfortunate, but also really fortunate happenstance. Had Brock Lesnar not been implicated in the Vince McMahon lawsuit, Johnny Gargano would be Cruiserweight champion right now.
Yeah.
And nothing more.
Also, like, it's... And now maybe I say this, and with the reflections of like... And here's the thing. Sorry.
I don't care that you say it. I just wanted to mess with you at the beginning.
I have never been a Brock Lesnar fan. So I've never been one. Xander can attest to that. I have never been a Brock Lesnar fan.
I went through phases. Now I just don't like him because of the implications.
Yeah, but I never was. So so I can confidently say all the creative with him was primarily motivated by him. Or him. There you go. Okay.
Yeah. I was pretty much always in charge of Brock's creative.
I kept trying to write him out. I must have pitched me write out Brock Lesnar at least 5 times because I was never amused. And, obviously did not see this coming. Not saying that. God, no. No one saw that shit coming. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But,
no.
And that's all I'll say about it. But, I'm liking the direction that we're going with him. And
and it's very
better, and there's better and newer monsters that I think are around. I think you could argue Braun Strowman's better, just as this general monster with stature.
General monster with stature.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the badass factor, you have Gunther.
Yeah.
And then you have someone like Braun Steiner, who is, just a major powerhouse. Powerhouse?
I didn't even realize that one.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah, Braun is not as big as the rest of them, but he hits harder than the rest of them.
Yeah.
And then also, Lashley. I mean, I'll put it this way. Bobby Lashley is just a better version of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. With a better MMA record. I add that in there.
You know what my dad's response always has been to that? Well, it was Bellator. It doesn't matter.
I can say a lot of things about Brock Lesnar and his fighting career.
Yeah. But anyways. But yeah, no, ultimately, I'm glad that it worked out the way it did with Johnny.
I'll just say this. Take Brock Lesnar's most impressive win he ever got. Put that fight, take the guy he was facing, make him 3 years younger than he was at that current time, maybe 2. Mm-hmm. He would have destroyed him. He would have fucking destroyed him. It would have been no contest. If Randy Couture had been just a few years younger, Randy Couture would have destroyed Brock Lesnar. I'm sorry. I know you don't know, but Randy Couture would have ripped him apart in his prime.
But yeah. Okay, so into night 2 real quick. Night 2, we had the Speed tournament, which the Speed Championship's kind of just been my thing. That's kind of where Ray is take the flippy dudes, take who we're not doing anything with, go have fun on YouTube Shorts, be home before the streetlights are on.
I'll be uploading my mini horror films onto YouTube Shorts.
Which I need to teach you how to make it not show up in the subscription boxes so it doesn't mess with us in the algorithm.
Anyway.
But yeah, we'll talk about that off stream. But yeah, so I did just the whole Flash Fury tournament, and some episodes of it pop off in terms of views, some episodes don't, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, also it kind of, I said this to you early on where it's okay, I am and I feel like we can discuss this where it's the Cruiserweight title is primarily going to be a SmackDown feature.
Yeah, we talked about that I think as well, yeah.
Yeah, whereas the Speed title is going to be Raw's feature. And, that kind of works because, Cruiserweight, that's a broad banner.
Yeah.
That's all wrestlers under one weight. And in Speed, that's an even broader one where you can have people like Omos.
Yeah, and also, each of those belts fits our styles a little bit. You like the long, drawn-out, even high intensity matchups. I like quick burst match.
Oh yeah, well I do too. I mean, like look at fucking. I didn't have it, but like, you want to know what one of my favorite matches was at Double or Nothing?
What's that?
Legitimately, Malachi Black and Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
It was short, and they just did everything to each other. Like,
But yeah, and then the other thing we had on the kickoff show today was the Andre Battle Royal, which was won by Ilya. We knew Ilya was winning that a month ago, probably.
well, like, there's been big plans for Ilya this season, but he wasn't on the Mania card. So when it came up, like, oh, we should do an Andre Battle Royal, he was a clear.
Oh yeah, it was just like, well, obviously it's Ilya. And then you look at everyone else that was in it. It was like everyone else was in it was either doing nothing, like Loomis and stuff. And then I got Javon Evans in there because I just wanted that fresh face that people can learn the name. No, he's going to be a big part of my vision for NXT for the next several months, next several years. He'll probably be in NXT for years, is my assumption.
Yeah.
Although I think that as soon as he's got the character stuff down, as soon as he's like really polished in the WWE style, I think he should be on main roster before the year's out.
Yeah.
But I think he might be like the next face of NXT in the real world, at least.
Interesting.
Because he's got like that, he's got that Johnny Wrestling vibe to him.
Yeah.
And so, and then the Sandman. The Sandman was in there because I wasn't sure if I was going to get enough of I wasn't sure I was going to get enough time to get Ray to respond to me last night if I'd asked to put Joe Hendry in there.
And also, the Sandman.
And also,
have you seen recent interviews with the Sandman?
no, but I've met him and I don't like him, is all I will say.
Dude, no. He's turned his life around.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. He's got clean. He's
Good.
a few years clean off drugs. He's got new teeth. He's lost weight.
Good for him. I didn't
Yeah.
like him when I met him 5 years ago. I'll put it that way. I haven't seen the guy in 5 years, so.
In a recent documentary, they actually seem to be doing a lot better. So
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I retract my statement that I do not like him.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so Sandman was in there because he was the only ECW guy not at WrestleMania that we had down. Rhino was supposed to appear at one point.
Also, best entrance music ever.
Oh yeah, Metallica's Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rhino was gonna appear at one point, but right now with until a new version of Cakeview comes out, I can't download Community Creations stuff unless I take all of my modded folders out.
Huh.
Are you not having that problem?
I have not been testing it that well.
So if you download a Community Creations character and your game crashes as soon as the download finishes, take your baked files out of your mods folder, open the game up so it's not in modded form, then go download it, close your game, put the baked files back in.
Ah.
That's what I'm having.
Okay, well, I haven't been downloading much from Community Creations as of late, so.
I do, because I need like 2 or 3 people for NXT. So.
Well, wait. No, wait. I downloaded the SmackDown arena the other day, and that downloaded perfectly fine.
It could just be characters. I don't know. But anyway. Yeah, ultimately Ilya won. And also, Joe Hendry not being in it was also because I didn't want any kind of foreshadowing what was going to happen later tonight in the show, which we're going to get to in a minute. We're finally going to answer that burning question in a minute. So the show opened with Nathan Frazier and Seth Rollins for the IC title. God, I mean, how long ago was... I think this was probably the plan when Rollins won the title 400 and some odd days ago.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, Nathan's the one.
You told me the plan, and I said, they're going to kill you, Zander. They're going to kill you.
Give him a long Rollins title reign, then have him lose it clean. Yep.
Yep. They are going to take you. They are going to. They honestly might sacrifice you in some form of religious form.
You know what?
Huh?
Good. That was the exact response I wanted.
Yeah. And,
I wanted you to hate it. I wanted each and every one of you to hate it.
And I feel like, and guys, just to preface, this will be answered in the coming days about what's going on. I feel like you guys missed it. Rollins got hurt in the match with Nathan. Like, so, what's the future hold for Seth Rollins?
Yeah. Now, let me preface it with this, because I know where that's going to go with Ray saying Rollins got hurt. Nathan didn't win because Rollins got hurt. Nathan won and hurt Seth Rollins in the process.
Yeah.
So there's no excuses for Seth losing. He lost. Nathan was the better man.
Well, also, if you get hurt in the match, that doesn't count as someone like. If someone takes advantage of an injury, that's one thing. If you get injured in the match and lose as a result, that's another. Like,
yeah, exactly. But yeah, anyway, that's been the plan since Rollins won the belt. Was eventually Nathan was going to turn heel. Then the formation of the Final Testament happened, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually perfect. Because I really like the Final Testament. Ray's not as big on it as I am. And so I was like, I've always wanted to do something with Cross and Rollins having some kind of interaction. Hell, that was the planned WrestleMania Season 3 main event at one point.
Yeah. So
ultimately it worked out.
Yeah. So, you did that. And I'm kidding.
And I'm honestly, Nathan Frazier might be the best LS11 homegrown main event star since Buddy Murphy. Because we also haven't had many since Buddy Murphy. We haven't had many people that we've had to build from the ground up since Murphy.
Oh yeah. Well, also I felt like it was an interesting situation because Murphy had such a good season. He was, I said it towards the time where he lost the international title in AEW. He was cutting promos basically saying, as far as I'm concerned, I am the world champion. I am, with this belt, I am the top guy in AEW. Because everyone knows that, if they want the real, best wrestler in the world, you wrestle me.
Yeah. But yeah, so ultimately, Nathan winning was the right call every day of the week. Because, if Seth won, who else is he going to feud with? Who's going to beat him if not Nathan, right? So then we move into the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Ultimately, it was won by Indy Hartwell, which I'm trying to think here. The only other person I think we ever talked about was Chelsea Green. But then you were like, put it on Indy Hartwell. I have an idea. And you told me the idea. And I was like, all right, let's put it on Indy Hartwell. That's the most I can really say about that right now. Women's tag titles, Strikeforce and Team Kick. It was time for Strikeforce to lose. They are the longest reigning women's tag team champions we've ever had now. Give me a second, I can give you the exact number of days. But it was we want a team that's going to be beloved to beat Strikeforce. And that match that they had on Super SmackDown a few months ago is ultimately what kind of sold me on it. And I had you watch that match, and I think it helped sell you on it as well. Where I even told you there existed at one point. I don't have the footage anymore, obviously. But there existed footage where Team Kick won that match, and I was willing to stick with it.
Yeah. Well, also, I was there is a larger story with Strikeforce as well, with them losing the belts at this time.
Yeah.
And, Strikeforce, for the guy who wasn't on board with the women's tag team division, I somehow came up with the most over team.
Okay. And Strikeforce is, in fact, the longest reigning women's tag team champions at 182 days. The second longest is Emma and Dana Brooke from last year at 126.
Yeah.
So they have had a long reign with those titles, and it was the right time for them to lose them. You got to keep it fresh sometimes, especially in a division like the women's tag, where at any given time there's 5-6 teams, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jay Uso and Pete Dunne. This was kind of just. I think the plan was always that Jay was going to win the U.S. title. It was just a matter of who was going to be champion walking in.
Yeah.
And,
I had you change it a few times, so.
Yeah. And we won't be able. We'll get into that another day because we can't. Because that has some future stuff with season 6 to cover.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rhea and Roxanne. God, that was also always the plan, I think.
Yeah.
Roxanne was only supposed to have 2 runs with the belt. She was going to lose it to Trish last year, win it back, and then beat Rhea this year. The Cora stuff only happened because I did the DDT on the concrete, and I was like, oh shit, I think Cora's got to win this.
Yeah.
Because if Roxanne gets DDT'd on the concrete and just wins it, then that's SummerSlam 2010 levels of bad.
Yeah. Now I will like that's something I loved what we did with Alba Fire and ultimately her whole story.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sitting here like I think one of my biggest regrets was not thinking of Roxanne Perez in that role for the 6.
God, every time I say that and someone hasn't heard that story before, they're like, "Oh my God, yeah, she would have been the perfect person for that role."
Yeah, I'm like she because I was looking for essentially Starlight from The Boys.
Yeah.
And she has so much of that quality to her. Like,
oh yeah, she does.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there was Cena and Styles. This was a really last minute addition to the show. This was, oh shit, AJ Styles isn't at WrestleMania. Oh shit, John Cena's not at WrestleMania. Whoop.
Yeah. Not much more to be said.
Yeah, and the choice to have AJ come out with Evil Ways was my idea because I don't like the new Def Rebel theme.
Yeah.
And then the tag team titles. The Fatal 4-Way. The Creeds, Pretty Deadly, Next Wave, and AOP.
Yes, boy!
One person decided Pretty Deadly should win that matchup, and it wasn't me.
Okay, but you have to admit, the chat went wild.
They did.
They were like, yes. Yes.
And now the question is, what the fuck is going to happen on Friday? I know what's going to happen. I am terrified for what Ray has in store with Pretty Deadly as tag team champions.
You should be.
There were never any other thoughts for that matchup as well. It was like, we need to get the belts off AOP so they can go to Raw. Ray, who do you want to?
Immediately was like, Pretty Deadly are my champions.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even finish the sentence. I was like, all right, Ray, I got to get the belts off AOP so I can take them to Raw. Who do you want? Pretty Deadly.
Yeah.
I was like,
there is no better, like, cocky heel tag team in WWE. There isn't, and I love them. And you know what? Honestly, Zander, I like the attires. I wish I could have made them myself because I had some different ideas and I just didn't have the time to. Because at one point, Zander, I had found the puffy coat in the community creations that Ken wore in the video.
Yeah, the Mojo Dojo Casa house coat.
Yeah, I was going to put that on him. I was going to put headbands on them. I had found the Barbie font, and I was going to put Kit and fucking Elton. Sorry, I was like, but whenever I remember saying I'm like Elton John, I keep wanting to say Elton John because that's the only other Elton I know.
It's okay. Santi Zap keeps calling him Elton Strong in all of his videos, and it pisses me off.
But but yeah, I wanted to have Elton and Kit in the Barbie font across the backs of the jackets.
Yeah.
I honestly might still make these attires.
Go for it, man. Why not? Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Pretty Deadly is just Ray wanted them as his first tag champions. I said, all right, your show, let's do it. And then AJ Lee and Tiffany Stratton. I mean, this was the end game start of the season.
Yeah.
And there's really not much more to say about it. It was once I got into the Diva Killer run and people started really getting behind it, I was like, well, they're going to want Tiffany to be a champion one day. If I keep her with this belt that pisses everybody off that she has it because no one likes the butterfly belt, they're going to be less excited about the idea of her becoming champion. And they're going to stick with me for this long, year-long story. And if you guys remember, I'll just leave you this little hint for Raw this week. The deal with her and management was, as long as she has former Divas champions to fight, she's not going to bother anyone about the world title. There's no former Divas champions left.
Yeah.
And so AJ Lee was always naturally the finale of that story. There was no way that story could have ended with anyone else.
Definitely.
AJ needed to be the final one. She couldn't have been SummerSlam. She couldn't have been Survivor Series. She needed to be the last one.
Yeah.
And I will pat myself on the back a little. I do think that was... I think the order I went with everyone, I did a good job of spacing out the serious threats with the, oh yeah, they existed, champions.
Yeah.
Because for every Beth Phoenix, there was a Kelly and a Jillian Hall somewhere in
Yeah.
All right. Hold on. Amadeus comes in the chat and says, "Yes, boy. God, that was one of, if not the greatest finales I have ever watched." I'm really happy with the finale of the season. We'll get there in a minute, though, when we talk about Punk and Dom. But thank you for that.
So right now, the main event I'm working under for SmackDown at WrestleMania next year. I think next year's Mania is going to probably be my favorite in terms of.
I'm excited. At the moment, I have ideas for what Raw's world title match at WrestleMania Season 6 is. But that's not to say it won't change 7 times between now and then.
Yeah.
But, now then, sound the alarm, everyone. It's finally time to talk about Finn Balor and Damian Priest and what happened. So this match was always going to happen. And originally, this was going to be the return of the Demon, and Finn Balor was just going to steamroll through Damian Priest.
Yeah.
But then, about 8 months ago, October-ish, because I remember I was back at my old apartment while I was living in the town I'm in now. I nearly doxed myself a little bit there. While I was living in the town I'm in now, I went back to my family in October of last year for a weekend, and I called you up one night, and I said, hey, I had this idea for how I want to streamline the shows in Season 6, and I'm not threatening to quit if we don't do this, but I'm telling you I'm going to be a lot closer to being ready to call it quits if we don't do this. And that's when the idea for you taking SmackDown came over. And the idea was we revamp LS11 Universe to Raw, TNA, SmackDown, Dynamite. Or Raw, NXT, SmackDown, Dynamite, depending on what people wanted. This was before there was any kind of NXT, TNA kind of talks happening. And I was like, we just forget the brand and company barriers. And if we want this person on this show, we do it. And you were like, I don't know, Zander. That feels a little extreme. And I was like, all right, we'll come back to the drawing board. And about 4, 5, maybe even 6 months ago, beginning of this year, you came to me and you said, I want to do the streamline. But, and I said, all right, what's going on? You said, but I don't want to make it extreme. I want to start small, and I want it to be guys who could realistically jump, and I don't want to do anything obscene out of the gate. Like, you didn't use this example, but I'll use this example. You didn't want Seth Rollins showing up on Dynamite. You didn't want Kenny Omega showing up on Raw.
Yeah.
And you said, here's my idea. Damian Priest wins at WrestleMania because Buddy Murphy shows up. And I said, that's brilliant. Because I always talked about how if we did the streamline, I wanted Buddy Murphy to betray Seth Rollins and join the Judgment Day.
Yeah. And
you were like, let's start with that. And I said, all right, cool, let's do it. And so ultimately the choice is now, consider LS11 Universe. Don't consider it as hard of a line of we're only going to keep people in the companies they're in. Consider every company to be a little more like TNA, where we're going to be a little more flexible with the rosters.
Yeah.
TNA, we keep it pretty realistic, but for every Josh Alexander and Joe Hendry that's actually there, we have EC3 coming in, and we have, Keith Lee in there, and things like that.
I mean, I do that with AEW now, too. I have Colby Corino.
Yeah, Ray's got Colby Corino. You got Paul Heyman. That's been, the big one.
Yeah.
I got Wesley Blake in NXT now, and you could start seeing that bleed into Raw and SmackDown more soon, too. We've talked about it a little bit. Essentially, we're now reshuffling the deck in our favor a little.
Yeah.
And if someone gets released and we want to write them out, we'll still write them out.
Yeah.
Like Dijak. I didn't have to write Dijak out today with these new rules, but I did it because, well, first of all, I needed to keep everyone believing that we were going to stick with that mindset we've had forever. We got to stick with the original companies that everyone is in. But also, I'm fine with losing Dijak. I don't need Dijak right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be happy wherever he ends up, unless it's AEW, in which case he's dead to me, because then Ray gets him and I don't. I'm kidding.
Can't wait to see them put Dijak and Big Bill together.
Oh boy. Dijak's the newest member of the Learning Tree. What are you talking about? I'm the Learning Tree. But anyway. Yeah. So hopefully that explains everyone's big burning question about Buddy Murphy. He's back in WWE. We've decided to bend our rules a little
Giving
bit.
tree. See, the giving tree keeps giving you things till it was just a stump. The learning tree is the thing that makes you a stump. One day, it provides you an apple. You're like, oh my God, this is incredible. And it keeps giving you all these wonderful things over and over and over again until eventually you're like, oh my God, everything has become awful. And before you know it, it feels like you've been hollowed out and cut down.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so Buddy Murphy is now officially signed to LS11 WWE. This is not the last time something like this is going to happen. It's not going to be an obscenely reoccurring thing. It'll be little bits here and there over time. Like, don't expect the Elite to crash the main event of Raw tomorrow.
Yeah.
But expect things to start getting a little more interesting in terms of you never know who's going to show up where. So that finally answers that question that everyone's been waiting 2.5 hours to hear the answer to. And I fully anticipate getting questions about it for the rest of time in comments. But Buddy Murphy signed to AEW. Okay, and
now, to the main event.
The final match of Season 5. Dominic Mysterio and CM Punk.
Yep.
In ring-wise, it is not the best WrestleMania main event.
No, but it's a very fun match that has the right spots in it that need to happen in order for the spots to. And, like, here's the thing. Like, it wasn't, like, a massive technical thing, but it wasn't, like, Drew and Cody last year, just a soaked-in drama, like, I hate you! Like,
yeah. It wasn't
but
that.
It was Punk showing up and beating the fuck out of these entitled little assholes.
Yep. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly what it was. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
It's like it was like, oh, you damn kid! Just
Yeah, and so I will say it has one of my favorite finishes we've ever done at a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Because when Charlie pulls Punk out of the ring, and then Punk takes him out and runs into the spear, and we have put over on commentary, CM Punk said, begged Triple H, do not allow them to get disqualified. Do not disqualify them. When Braun hit that spear, I think there was a brief moment where we went, oh no. Because we've ended the season on a sour note so many times.
Yeah.
This is my moment in Season 2. Cody winning in Season 4. We aren't exactly known for giving everybody the happy ending to the season.
Yeah.
But this time, it was the right time.
Yeah.
And then Braun spears Dom. But I give everyone just one more split second of, oh no, when Punk goes knee first into the turnbuckle that's exposed.
Yeah.
But then just that super kick counter into a GTS is so damn perfect.
Yeah.
Like, Amadeus calls it a symphony of violence. And yeah, I love that main event. It's not the best in-ring match we've ever done, but damn it might be my favorite WrestleMania main event we've ever done.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, I say it like this. It's classic wrestling. It's like the heel legacy, like all this little entitled shit, Gene to beat the super over guy. The super over guy is about to get screwed over. Oh my God, they're gonna hit him. Oh my God, they're gonna hit him. Oh my God, he dodged it. The little shit got hit. And now he's thrown out. It's it's very much an archetypal wrestling main event, and that's what I think I like about it. Like, it's like it's like Superman the movie. It's like everything is just there. It's the classic thing to do. Like. And Punk got to go home as the big conquering hero.
CM Punk, famously, who has only just seen Rocky for the first time about 6 months ago, gets the Rocky style win in Philadelphia.
You want to know the sad thing?
What's that?
The first Rocky is legitimately a great movie.
Oh yeah, I know. I've seen it.
It's a great movie. Like,
Yeah, Zach says, plus the promo package showed Rumble 2014. Yeah, I got to blend real life in there a little bit with the CM Punk promo package. I was really happy with that.
Yeah.
I will not say this year had the worst video packages I've ever done, but it definitely had video packages where it was obvious I had 3 days to make them.
Yeah. Well, also, it was a very full season, very full time period. And, we're kind of in this weird place where we're just like making, like there's certain stuff we like to do, sure. But then there's certain stuff where it feels like that's mainly to amuse us and we can cut down on it. And video packages are one of them.
Yeah.
It's like video packages, people don't like pay attention to that much. They more care about the match. And
yeah.
And,
no, there's a lot of people who, like, I understand. The next 7,000 people that watch WrestleMania, 5,000 of them are going to click through and see who won each match. They're not going to watch anything else.
Yeah.
They're not going to know Next Wave got involved.
Yeah. So,
Mike asks, will Raw be up to, like, in about 30, 45 minutes? Yeah, it's uploading right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's season 5, huh?
Yeah. So now, on to the awards.
Yeah, to the awards. Because, like, I've talked everything with TNA already. Like, I talked about that. That's the thing, is I don't have to talk about TNA on the end of year shows anymore, because now I do the weekly watch-along and stuff, where I just talk about this stuff season round.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I didn't get too into what I did on AEW, but...
Season poll has closed. We're going to go in reverse order from bottom to top, ending with WWE Superstar of the Year. So, other pay-per-view / premium live event of the year. The nominees were the World Cup Finals, Xandermania 8, Forbidden War Night 1 and 2 each got their own spot, and Worlds Collide. In third place, with 16.7% of the vote, Forbidden War Night 1 airing from Chicago.
Okay.
In second place, with 20% of the vote, Forbidden War Night 2 Anarchy in the Arena from Madison Square Garden.
All right.
I Forbidden War Night 2 got it by 1 vote. But, according to the LS11 Universe, the other show of the year was Xandermania 8 with 42% of the vote.
Okay.
So, thank you for that. Thank you all for flattering me and for...
throughout on those. So, pretty even spread. So I'm saying
yeah. Everything got votes, which is really nice to see. I kind of wish the World Cup Finals gotten more. I'm really happy with that show, but it's all right. I'm very flattered that Xandermania 8 got it. I'm very happy with
I
that.
knew Forbidden War and like Night 1 and 2 would be on there. I figured Xandermania 8 would probably win. But I was like, yeah.
I thought Forbidden War might win it. I really did.
Yeah, okay.
There was a point where Night 1 was leading the poll by like a solid few votes too, so Xandermania kind of came out of nowhere. All right, TNA Premium Live Event of the Year. I won't read out all the nominees for everything, but I'll just read out the top 3 always. In third place was Hard to Kill with 17%. In second place, Bound for Glory with 33.3% chance. I'm not even joking.
Okay.
And Slammiversary, much like it usually does, won with 42% of the vote.
Okay.
I'm a little sad because I actually do prefer Bound for Glory, but Slammiversary's probably got a bit of a recency bias as well. All right. AEW pay-per-view of the year. There were only 4. Revolution got no votes, unfortunately. I really like Revolution. Wrestle Dream came in third with 17%. All in London got 33.3%. And Double or Nothing won with 50%.
Okay, I can't argue because Revolution was my last pay-per-view on the console.
Oh yeah.
So there's just like a lower production value. Wrestle Dream, Xander was like him just he did a great job, but he had all this other stuff on his plate he was trying to do.
Oh yeah, I was in a rough place during that time.
So I'm understanding that, it wasn't, exactly my vision of the show. Then, All in London has had certain things happen since that show has taken place that has caused it not to age as well as I had hoped.
Yeah.
But Double or Nothing, that was a nice feel-good show. That was...
All right. So, WWE Premium Live Event of the Year. Tied for third place are SummerSlam and WrestleMania Night 1 with 16.7% each.
Okay, wow.
Second place with 29.2% is Survivor Series War Games.
Okay.
And the winner, with 37.5%, is WrestleMania Night 2.
All right.
Fair enough. I kind of prefer Night 1 personally, but fair enough.
And I believe this is the first time that all the shows that were placed within our top pay-per-views were all big four events. Typically, we have like a little bit of like a B show sleeper. That's like that one was really good. Typically, it's like a Bad Blood or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I thought Money in the Bank might make it on there just because of the Sammy and Cody match.
Yeah.
All right. Upset of the year, which ironically, I think we have an upset for who wins it.
All right.
In third place, with 20.8% of the vote, is Jinder Mahal wins the United States Championship instead of getting his 100th loss.
Okay.
In second place, with 25% of the vote, Dominic Mysterio retains the World Heavyweight Championship against literally anybody. And with 29.2% of the vote, Carnold and Scott Steiner win the TNA Tag Team Championships at Sacrifice.
Xander, it was an upset, and I'm upset about it. So, but not a surprise, honestly, for me.
Yeah. My vote for that actually went to Uya Uemura beats Miro. That was my vote. Okay. And then OMG moment of the year. So shocking moment of the year. Third place is Dominic Mysterio cashes in on Drew McIntyre and wins with 16.7% of the vote.
That was my vote. I believe that was one I voted for. With
29.2% of the vote, Drew McIntyre ends the reign of Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
And the most shocking moment of the year, according to the LS11 Universe, with 33.3% of the vote, is Rhea Ripley wins the United States Championship.
Of course.
Betrayal of the year.
Okay.
This one is a landslide. Tied for third with only one vote each. Kenta kicks Jacob Fatu out of Bullet Club, and the House of Black kick out Malachi.
Okay.
In second place, with 29.2% of the vote, is Nick Aldis betrays Cody Rhodes after War Games. And with 62.5% of the vote, Nathan Frazier betrays Seth Rollins during his 1-year celebration.
Yeah. All right.
I knew that was winning.
Yeah.
That is my favorite betrayal I've ever gotten to do.
Okay.
Okay. Funniest moment of the year.
All right.
In tied for third place. I've actually got a visual element for one of these, so 2 seconds. Because Ray hasn't seen this yet.
Okay.
Tied for third place, with 12.5% of the vote each, are the trial of Dexter Loomis, where Dexter says his first ever words, which are, Mr. Loomis, how do you plead? Not guilty.
Yeah.
He's only said 4 words ever in LS11 Universe. Not guilty and I forfeit.
Yeah.
And LAW got third place with this clip from when Alexander Blackstone went, for a guy whose favorite wrestler is Joe Hendry, I can really say his name. Say his name and he appears. I believe in ZRC. You didn't know about that, did you?
I knew about it. I just hadn't confronted you on it.
In second place, with 25% of the vote, is, ugh, you smell Canadian. Go wash that off with a bleach, loser.
All right.
And in first place, by a landslide, is the Juice Bar. Yes, with Danhausen and the special guest. Danhausen with like a blimp and wear a title match and everything else, like human monies.
I do like that. Like the first place is something we did together. So.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that too. I love that segment. We sat here for like 15 minutes recording it. How much did you cut from that, by the way?
I cut, honestly, very little.
I remember that segment went for a while.
Most of it made it in there because I was like, you know what? Like, this is on a random episode. People will skip through it if they don't like it. But for the hardcore fans who watch it, they're going to be like, what is this?
So they're like, what the fuck is this? Why are they doing this?
Yeah, they are both just talking to each other in a crazy voice. It sounds Utterly insane.
So I'm glad we both win that one. I'm very happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm glad I Believe in ZRC didn't win it, because like it's not as funny after like 3 weeks of it. Like it was funny in the moment, but like I'm not gonna sit here and play it over and over anymore.
Yeah.
Like, all right, TNA debut and return of the year. In third place with 25% of the vote is the Maharaja Raj Desi's arrival at Slammiversary, aka Jinder Mahal. In second place, also from Slammiversary, is the Hardys. And with 37.5% of the vote, AJ Styles' a shock appearance at the end of Sacrifice is what won. And I'm not really shocked about that.
All right.
AEW debut and return of the year. Oh, yeah, they got stolen at the last second. Like the final vote actually decided this.
Oh, wow.
In third place, Sami Callihan debuts on the first Dynamite under Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Tied for second place with 29.2% each are Juice Robinson at Beach Break and Samoa Joe at Winter is Coming.
Okay.
And by one vote, Kazuchika Okada wins with his arrival at Forbidden War.
I mean, he beat CM Punk, so.
Yeah. All right, WWE return and debut of the year. This was a 2-horse race. It was going one of two ways. In third place, with 12.5% of the vote, was Jon Moxley at Super SmackDown.
Okay. I honestly thought that would win, so.
In second place, Buddy Murphy at WrestleMania.
Okay.
And with 50% of the vote, CM Punk's return at Raw Day 1. I knew that was going to win because I was so vocal and angry that, no, I'm not bringing him back. Stop fucking asking.
Yeah.
I sold it so heavily that I'm not bringing him, but I never lied. You can go back and listen to everything I said about CM Punk. Someone said CM Punk showing up next pay-per-view in the comments of SummerSlam. I said, I wouldn't count on it. Next pay-per-view was Evolution, the all-women's pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Someone said, oh, he's going to show up on SmackDown. I said, you're not going to see him show up on SmackDown anytime soon.
Yeah.
I never said he wasn't showing up.
Yeah.
I said when he wasn't showing up.
Yeah.
TNA Breakout Star of the Year. In third place, Alan Angels with 12%. In second, with 17%, Hammerstone. And with 66.7% of the vote, Chris Danger is your TNA Breakout Star of the Year.
All right.
AEW Breakout Star of the Year. Colby Corino got 1 vote. Hook and Anna Jay each got 2. And with 80% of the fucking vote, Juice Robinson is Breakout Star of the Year.
Of course he did.
With 80%, you can't make that up.
People love Juice. Okay?
Apparently.
People love it.
WWE Breakout Star of the Year. In third place is Main Event Jey Uso.
Okay.
In second, with 33.3% of the vote, Tiffany Stratton. And the winner, I'm so happy about this. I knew it was between him and Stratton. With 50% of the vote, your Breakout Star of the Year is Nathan Frazier. Okay. So happy about that fact.
All right.
TNA Rivalry of the Year. In third place, AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe with 17%.
Okay.
In second place, with 21%, Joe Hendry versus Mustafa Ali. I thought that was going to win. But what ultimately won is Joe Hendry versus Samoa Joe with 42% of the vote.
Well, you had Samoa Joe beating him the first time. And
they never had a match before.
Well, you had Joe being written off. You have Joe Hendry being written off for a while, coming back. The Heroes Welcome. You had all that. You had that whole story leading into that.
Yeah, you're right about that.
I get that. So, and Mustafa Ali, it was like, we know he's going to challenge Joe Hendry at some point. Just when's that going to be?
Yeah. AEW Rivalry of the Year. This one got close, too.
Oh.
In third place, MJF versus Ricky Starks with 12.5% of the vote.
Okay.
In second place, with 29.2%, Buddy Matthews versus Will Ospreay.
Okay.
And with 50% of the vote, Kenny Omega versus Jay White.
Not surprised there.
Yeah. WWE Rivalry of the Year. This one was tight.
All right.
In third place, Seth Rollins and Nathan Frazier with 12.5% of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
Tied second with 20.8% each, Cody Rhodes versus Nick Aldis, and Johnny Gargano versus Gunther. Gunther was my vote.
Okay.
But not really shocked by this one. With 41.7% of the vote, Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes was Rivalry of the Year.
Oh, well, of course. That was my vote too. So
that was my second choice. Okay, this is one of those where I'm kind of flattered again. Other match of the year. This is for all the companies that aren't WWE, AEW, or TNA.
Yeah.
In third place, with 16.7%, Mickie James versus Sky Blue at Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor. That's where Sky Blue won the title.
All right.
In second place, with 20.8%, this was actually my vote, Joe Hendry versus Finn Balor in the World Cup Finals.
That was my vote too.
With 45.8%, the non-WWE, AEW, or TNA match of the year is Zander versus Jinder in the main event of Zander Mania 8.
God damn it.
I'm not going to gloat about it because I'm genuinely shocked that this won, but thank you all for that. I'm actually really happy with how that match came out.
All right.
And keep in mind, it's a match I lost, so, you know.
Yeah.
I've done a good job this year of not putting myself over.
You're just out here like Shawn Michaels being like, I didn't beat Jinder Mahal, but I'm still very proud of what he and I accomplished.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know something? Raj Desi, I can beat you.
Oh, we're running it back this weekend, Ray. We're running it back at LAW Staying Alive in LA Street Fight 4-on-4. It's me, it's Adrian Nova, and two other partners against Alexander Blackstone, Blue Payne, Raj Desi, and a mystery partner that Blackstone's revealing on Thursday. So, you know.
Oh, my God.
I got you on speed dial if my other partners' choices don't pick up. Hey, Hanzo's in the chat now. Speaking of one of my tag partners at LAW this weekend. All right. TNA match of the year.
Okay.
In third place, that's kind of cool. I'm glad this one placed high enough. With 16.7% of the vote, Chris Danger and Keith Lee at No Surrender. I really like that match.
All right.
Hanzo says, what's good on the way home from training? Well, I hope training went well. We're just reading out the final awards for Season 5. We've been live for almost 3 hours now, which is kind of crazy. All right. In second place, with 20.8% of the vote, Joe Hendry versus Mustafa Ali from Slammiversary. And with 50% of the vote, Joe Hendry versus Samoa Joe.
All right.
That makes sense. I really like that match.
And so.
AEW match of the year. This one had a lot of good options, and they all got votes.
All right.
In third place with 12.5%, Buddy Matthews versus Malachi Black's Final Showdown from Revolution.
All right.
In second place with 25%, Will Ospreay versus Buddy Matthews at All in London.
Okay.
In first place, Kenny Omega and Jay White with 41.7% from Double or Nothing.
I think there's some recency bias on that one.
I think so too, but I do like that match a lot too.
I like the match a lot, yeah.
My vote actually went to Buddy and Will from All In.
That was my vote too for match of the year.
WWE match of the year.
Okay.
In third place with 12.5%, Seth Rollins versus Nathan Frazier from WrestleMania Night 2.
Okay.
Second place, 29.2%, Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes in the main event of SummerSlam.
Okay.
With 37.5%, only eking it out with 2 votes over Cody and Drew. This was my pick, so I'm really happy it won. Johnny Gargano versus Gunther from WrestleMania Night 1.
All right.
So I actually ran kind of a preliminary poll with this last night after Gargano won the title. I actually asked the Discord which of the 3 Gargano-Gunther matches should be nominated for match of the
I
year.
saw that. Yeah.
And so originally the Survivor Series match was my pick. But enough people said the WrestleMania one.
Rumble. Yeah, I thought the Rumble encounter was the best one.
Yeah, and then finally, not finally, but TNA Tag Team of the Year. Oh my god. This is a landslide. What the fuck? In third place with 16.7%, Ace and Bay Connection.
Okay.
In second place with 25%, Motor City Machine Guns.
Did Limitless Danger win?
Limitless Danger won with 50% of the vote.
All right.
I just saw you putting it together in your head there.
Yeah.
All right, AEW Team of the Year. Oh, wow. In third place, Golden Lovers. Tied second with 20.8% each, FTR and Roppongi Vice.
Wow.
And the winners, by a solid margin. Like, even if you combine Roppongi and FTR, this team still wins. Dragon Reborn wins with 45.8% of the vote. Hey, Colton.
I mean, of course. I mean, I expected that because they were just champions for a lot of the season. Like,
yeah, that's true.
They had great matches. And,
they did.
Yeah, and I always made sure they had a great title defense. Honestly, the one of my favorite matches they had, oddly, because they had a really good match. Their match against Jack Perry and Luchasaurus. They actually
I love that match.
Yeah.
All right. WWE Women's Tag Team of the Year. There's not a Knockouts Tag Team of the Year because there were like 3 teams in the Knockouts division all year.
Yeah.
In third place, the Unholy Union of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn with 8.3%.
Okay.
Tied second, Toxic Attraction and Team Kick with 20.8% each.
Okay.
You thirsty bastards. Toxic Attraction just reunited 3 weeks ago. And with 50% of the vote, Strike Force.
Yep. Strike Force.
There wasn't much of a doubt in my mind on that one. WWE Men's Tag Team of the Year. This is a close one all around. In third place, Imperium with 16.7% of the vote. In second place, tied with 20.8% each, Judgment Day and Final Testament.
All right.
And the winners, this one actually shocked me when I saw this. The Six with 29.2%. They won Tag Team of the Year for the second year in a row.
Damn.
It kind of shocks me because Austin and Ricochet went like 2-13 this season each.
I think that's just a love of the storyline.
Probably. Yeah. NXT Female Superstar of the Year.
Okay.
Third place with 3 votes went to Bayley. Second place with 20.8% went to Julia. And rightfully so, with 58% of the vote, Naomi is NXT Women's Superstar of the Year.
All right.
TNA Knockout of the Year. Third place went to Hikaru Shida. Second place with 25%, Trinity/Naomi. She nearly brought home 2 awards. And with 58% of the vote, Jordynne Grace for the second year running is Knockout of the Year.
All right.
It's a 1-woman division, let's be real. AEW Woman of the Year. In third place, tied, is Athena and Toni Storm with 8.3% each.
Okay.
In second place is Jamie Hayter with 20.8%. And in first place with 58.3%, Mercedes Moné. Not too shocked by that one.
Had a great season. So.
Ooh. WWE got close.
All right.
In tied third place, Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton.
Okay.
In tied second place, my vote went to Tiffany, by the way. In tied second place, Jade and Roxanne. And somehow, for the third year running,
you thirsty goddamn bastards,
with 25%, 1 vote swayed to the whole thing. Rhea Ripley, for the third year running, is WWE Female Woman of the Year. She had the U.S. title run. She fought at WrestleMania. I get it. I didn't even vote for her. This is the first year I didn't vote for her.
All right, guys.
And Alba Fire and Trish Stratus didn't even end up on the board.
I see your right hand can take a break to vote for Rhea Ripley, but not for much else. And
Ray, what the fuck? Hey, yo! NXT Superstar of the Year.
All right.
Just barely 4th place, Baron Corbin. I had to read it out because he was 1 vote away from 3rd place. 3rd place with 20.8% of the vote, Axiom. I actually voted for Axiom. I thought he was going to place higher.
Okay.
2nd place with 25%, Trick Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And the winner with 33.3%, Jimmy Uso. Hanzo says that might have been me about the Rhea Ripley thing. When you said your right hand can take a break. Jesus Christ, Ray. TNA Male Superstar.
I'm an athlete.
TNA Male Superstar of the Year.
Yeah.
In 3rd place, Matt Cardona. Tied 2nd with 12.5% each, Keith Lee and Nick Nemeth. And the winner, with 62.5% of the vote. Everybody say his name.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Joe Hendry, after being Breakout Star of the Year last year, is Superstar of the Year for TNA with 62.5% of the vote. I had no doubts he was winning.
Okay.
This one I think you're going to be interested in. AEW Male Superstar of the Year. In third, I see the look of panic on your face.
I'm scared. I'm like,
in third place, with 12.5% of the vote, Will Ospreay.
Ha! Fuck you, Dave.
In second place, actually, in first place, with 58.3% of the vote, everyone's favorite member of Bullet Club Gold Bang Bang Gang, one of the greatest champions of Season 5 in AEW Universe mode, Switchblade Jay White.
Okay.
Second place was Juice Robinson with 16% of the vote.
All right.
I was building up because I wanted to see if I could get you with it.
I was like, did they actually just vote for? I would have accepted it, but I was like,
and WWE, this came down to one vote. It was a three-way tie until about 15 seconds before I closed the poll.
okay.
Let me get the music queued up, because it's kind of a rule of thumb. I always had the music queued up for who is essentially the overall Superstar of the Year.
Yeah.
So, let me get the music queued up. So, in third place, with 12.5% of the vote, Gunther. Tied for second place, with 20.8% of the vote each, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, and the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time, Seth Rollins. And by one last second vote, for the first time ever, and I am getting chills because I'm so happy about this, with 25% of the vote, your superstar of Season 5 is Johnny Gargano. And that's as much as I can play before we get copyright claimed.
Yeah.
Johnny Gargano barely gets Superstar of the Year. And I'm so happy about that fact.
All right.
Rollins was dominating the early voting.
Yeah.
And then Gargano just slowly started catching up. Then Cody spiked and caught up with Rollins. And then just a Gargano wave came in at the end.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Johnny Gargano.
I thought Punk would be up there.
I was shocked that he wasn't.
I thought Punk was going to be easily Superstar of the Year.
I did too. Like,
yeah.
That shocked me that Punk didn't win it.
Yeah.
But that's...
Although next year, we'll get him next year, Punk.
Probably.
Wait till you see what I got.
I wouldn't be shocked if Punk won next year. I think Gargano won this year because he had a season-spanning story, and so he was like... I wouldn't say he was the main character of Season 5. He was one of them, though, on Raw.
Yeah.
I think he was involved in every pay-per-view.
Yeah.
All right, well.
All right, guys.
That's it. That's Season 5. Shit.
Yeah. I wish we had a shot of one of us in a bathrobe. Like, you're still here? It's over.
You can go home.
Go home.
That's it. That's Season 5. That was my favorite season we've ever done. I guarantee you it won't be my favorite season we've ever done forever. But
I promise you this. When we do one, because all good things will end eventually. One day when this show does end, that will be the last shot saying anybody's being there. You're still here? It's over. Come on.
All right. That's it. That's our entire retrospective on Season 5 in a brief 3 hours.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about with a season.
I mean,
that was much as there is in a year of wrestling. So
yeah. I
um,
mean, oh, I suppose actually one more quick thing I wanted to talk about. It'll take me 2 seconds here. I want to just give a quick statistic of who had the most wins in the season.
okay,
Since we've got LS11Universe.com now.
okay,
I was originally going to go through and make a spreadsheet with all this, but I ended up not wanting to because it's a lot of work, and I do a lot of work for the channel already.
okay.
And I actually realized, I thought I was done with NXT. I realized I completely forgot to record a match.
Okay.
But Joe Hendry competed in 37 matches this season with a 31-6 record.
Okay.
So I believe that is one of, if not the most. I'm just going to the names that I know had a lot of matches. So keep Hendry in mind. 37 matches. Raj Desi had a lot of matches this season because we were trying to speed run the. Where is he on the roster? There he is. I've just got him in the wrong spot. Okay, he only had 30 matches this season. Whatever, fuck him. I also realized he's just in the complete wrong spot on the website. So, over in AEW, I swear there's definitely someone in AEW who had a lot of matches this year too.
Trying to think.
I'll just run through the roster with the arrow keys real quick. Let's see. I'll stop when I see anyone that's had upwards of 30, because 30 is kind of the threshold now for people with a lot. I mean, because the season is 48 weeks, so
Yeah.
Jay White had 17 matches. John Moxley had 22.
Yeah.
He won 17 of them. Kenny Omega had 17 matches. Let's see here.
I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't think there actually be a lot for AW because I have a pretty big roster, so I have to rotate a lot of people.
Hold up.
So,
I might have missed it. The Acclaim didn't have a single match this season.
no, they did not. I love the Acclaim, but I'm looking for the right place to bring them in, and I don't want them to be jobbers. So
Yeah. Let's see. Samoa Joe, I know a lot of this had to do with TNA. Samoa Joe had 20 matches this season, won 16 of them.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the highest was John Moxley with 22 matches.
Yeah.
Ospreay had 21. That's the
Yeah.
only close ones. Well, there's one
Sorry,
more
guys.
AEW name that might have had a decent one.
What?
There's one more AEW name. He's not in AEW now. Buddy Matthews had 16, or Buddy Murphy had 16, so never mind.
Yeah.
So, it's mainly WWE where people had a lot of matches this season. AJ Styles had 32 matches, won 21 of them.
Okay.
Which, keep in mind, the house shows up a lot with this. Asuka had 21 matches. Axiom had 22 matches, won 20 of them.
Okay.
Let's see. Going through still. Carmelo Hayes had 21 matches, won 10 of them. One of them was a draw.
All right.
All right, from here on out, I'll pretty much only list people that had 25 or higher. Because 25 or higher means they wrestled more than half the episodes that they were on, or half the episodes of the season. Ilya Dragunov had 25 matches exactly, won 12 of them. Let's see.
Okay.
Jey Uso had 28 matches, won 18 of them.
All right.
Johnny Gargano had 44 matches. I believe that's the most in the season. Won 31 of them.
Okay.
Let's see. Still going. WWE has a fucking huge roster, so bear with me, everybody. There are definitely a lot of people who had a 0 and whatever record this season, but Rhea Ripley had 31 matches and won 24 of them.
All right.
Roman Reigns had 26 matches and won 20 of them. Seth Rollins clocks in with the second most matches of the season. Gargano beat him just barely. Rollins had 35 matches, won 34 of them. He's got the best overall record for the season, I would say. And then Tiffany Stratton had 26 matches, had 27 matches, won 26 of them. Only lost one where she wasn't pinned. And then yeah, that wraps it up.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, yeah. What a season it was. We won't
Yeah.
hold you guys any longer. It's 8 o'clock. That's about when we said we were going to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go finish up NXT. Until next time, everybody, I've been Xander.
I've been right.
And that was season 5.